What's going on, everyone? It's Blizzard, and we're back with Week 8, the final week of ODL. ODL Season 3, the Phalanx Division, the best division. And today I'm here joined by...
Oh, you're not going to say my name? Me,
No,
Juvie.
yeah.
Damn, I was like, the suspense is killing me. He's like, drum roll.
Half the time I
Juvie.
tell the guest what I'm going to do, and half the time I don't, so I thought it'd be fun.
You got me good. You got me good.
All right, so we had a pretty interesting lineup of matches this week. You can see the very first matchup is already huge stakes because it's WA versus Saline. If Saline loses this, he misses out on playoffs. If WA loses this, he has a very small chance to make playoffs, I think. I think maybe same actually with both. They both have a very small chance to make playoffs if they lose. But if they win, they're guaranteed in. So very high stakes matchup, and a lot of these are pretty high stakes generally. So it's pretty exciting. If not to determine whether or not you make playoffs, to determine your seeding. So.
Yeah, exactly. There were at least 3 of these matches, and I would say this was a top 2 match as far as just kind of hype, stakes, and this one. And I was also just I personally, as someone who is still kind of actively learning the game, right? This matchup was also one I was pretty fascinated by, just from like a Mon perspective. I really had a hard time in the pick'ems with this one specifically. So pretty excited to see how it plays out, because these are 2 really good players with pretty interesting lineups.
Oh, 100%. This was probably my most anticipated match of the week because Saline beat me week 1. He was the 1 seed coming into playoffs season 1. Very, very capable player, but he's had a lot of ups and downs this season. I think he actually got his first Fields of Punishment ever this season. So he's had a lot of ups and downs, but he does have like a really solid team. The problem is, other than like Golden Go clicking Make It Rain, he doesn't appear to have a clear game plan, right? Like getting set up maybe, right, with Golden Go or Sylveon. He has the fake out option of Berserker. He has his only speed controls at all pretty much is Icy Wind on Blastoise, who he didn't bring. He has Tailwind on Salamence, and he has Trick Room on Meowscarada. Those are like his only speed control options. So if his team can feel a little disadvantaged because he doesn't have it necessarily his own game plan a lot of the time, it's kind of more adapting to the opponent's game plan. But at the same time, he has a very solid team. He's a good player, and so it feels like he has a chance no matter what his matchup is. And WA coming in, I believe, took over and went 4-1 at this point. I think he's 4-1 at this point with the team he took over. So that's incredible. The fact that someone can sub in and just immediately find so much success is crazy, and it's a testament to his skill. It's not luck. It's because he's a great player, one of the best draft players, if not the best draft player overall in ODL. And so, yeah, very, very excited to watch this matchup. So,
yeah. I mean, WA, in my opinion, just from the small sample size we've seen this season, WA feels like their prep is some of the strongest, if not the strongest, in the league. So, really excited to dive into this one.
And so immediately it's a Sneasel Hydreigon lead. Sneasel makes a lot of sense in the lead, and a Meowscarada Golden Go lead. We've seen a lot of Berserker Golden Go leads from Saline, but
yeah, this one surprised me a little bit with the Meowscarada. But yeah, like
I mean, you have 2 immediate threats into Hydreigon, right? With or Hydreigon threatens Golden Go, but Play Rough threatens Hydreigon. Fake Out doesn't work into Golden Go, obviously, but does work into Meowscarada and will break Sash. Sludge Bomb is an option, or maybe he doesn't have Sludge Bomb, but he's Terra Poison, or Terra Fairy, Terra Blast. So immediately threatening both. So interesting lead there, and it is a Fake Out into Meowscarada, which makes a lot of sense, and a Dark Pulse into Golden Go, but reveals the Colbur Berry, which is interesting. And then D-Gleam comes out off rip.
The D-Gleam is nasty.
I was the Reg F team that I was running quite a bit was Carrie Doratona's team from Toronto Regionals, which is Terra Fairy, D-Gleam, Goldengo, and it's a demon in Reg F. So in Reg H, it's like just disgusting. I mean, it can't Terra to make those D-Gleams even stronger, and this one's not specs, obviously, but it's a 4 times weak Pokemon, so D-Gleam just does so much damage. I think actually the first time I watched it, I was like, oh my god, there's no Protector Terra on Hydreigon, he's going to click D-Gleam and die. that's what happened, but the Colbur Berry makes that so much better of a play for Saline because he really didn't lose much health.
Yeah, he's sitting really healthy. He's totally fine going into turn 2.
Yeah, so pretty good turn. I mean, it feels like while it did break Sash potentially, and now has the Intimidate on Meow, has a Fire type in front of 2 Mons weak to Fire, so not too bad. Revealed the item and burned the item on Goldengo, but still lost one of his best Pokemon just right away. So
yeah,
and its immediate switch out into Immense, that kind of makes sense, expecting a Fire move, right?
Yeah. I like avoiding the Arcanine here. Give him some time to kind of chip him down. What was that item that was knocked off? I actually missed that.
AV.
Assault.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And AV Arcanine is really interesting. But I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Hopefully, it means Arcanine's E-Speed, because I've noticed Wa has not run E-Speed Arcanine like at all, pretty much, or rarely. But it would be fun to see it this week, right? Poison Jab into Meowscarada is really cool here.
Poison Jab's really nice.
Flare Blitz expecting, or not anticipating the switch, that's fine. And then a Terra Fairy in front of Passimian's interesting. Low Sweep, interesting. So the Earthquake immediately kills Sneasel, but protects on Salamence to protect from whatever shenanigans he went for with Sneasel, and Arcanine, I guess. But Earthquakes, anyways, even though it's a flying type, right, it wouldn't theoretically matter, but is able to do big damage to Arcanine, kill the Sneasel here. And the Arcanine, Terra Fairy Play Rough, but doubles into the Protect. I think Wa's idea was to low sweep, lower the speed of Mence, and then kill with Play Rough. But Passimian was faster than Arcanine anyways.
Yeah, the Passimian, it was just such a good read by Saline here, getting the Earthquake out, the Protect, and Wa just basically completely lose it. Like there's, I mean, at this point, like the game's in pretty rough shape for Wa. It's a huge swing.
Though I will say, it's not entirely over. I mean, it's looking pretty dire, right? But if you have Furt to follow me, you can kill one of these Pokemon, right, and redirect the other. Unless it's like Passimian clicking Earthquake, in which case you can just Play Rough the Passimian and follow me to like a dual Wing Beat or whatever, Dragon Pulse or whatever from the Mence. And then it's Golden Go versus these two, and if you like, theoretically, if you play it perfectly, you can have a chance.
Yeah. I see the angle for sure.
But it is Whimsicott, so it looks somewhat doomed. Moonblast comes out, does over half, but Hurricane, just Dry Hurricane rips into Win, and Gunk Shot from Passimian connects too. So 2 inaccurate moves just connect, and I mean that's the name of Saline's game. He had a week 1 against me. His Blastoise missed or hit every single Muddy Water in the world.
Oh, was that the Muddy Water where he was also triggering the accuracy debuff over and over again? I seem to recall that from. I might be misremembering their match. There was a match that just went crazy.
That might have been
Blastoise Muddy Water
against Alberto, or with Alberto's Gloking. I don't know, something like that. But against me too.
Clean first game from Saline. I mean, obviously there's a little luck at play there, but really, really clean game. It didn't really feel like Wa had a clear angle at any point. Yeah.
Well, I think he actually he did at in this situation. It feels like with the Terra. I mean, the Terra is a problem. You can't really Terra Fairy in front of Golden Go. But still, you feel like you can maybe do a lot of damage here. Even at this situation, it's not entirely lost because Arcanine's in a good spot. And once you get the kill here, you still are in a fairly even spot. It's just that one turn went very awry, and then kind of was over from there. And I mean, look how quickly that changed. Even on the start of turn 3, things are looking fine, and it ends at the end of turn 4. Wow.
Yeah. Quick game 1. Yeah.
So moving on to game 2, let's see how they adapt. And it's immediately a Furt Hydreigon lead. I think Furt makes a lot of sense. because and the Berserker Golden Goat lead makes a lot of sense. First of all, you got to learn the Chocolate Berry on Berserker good info. That's why Furt's always a good lead, particularly in game 1, but maybe it's predictable in game 1. But in any case, the Berserker Golden Go, very obviously threatening a very strong Make It Rain. Even Fake Out is an option. So it's kind of puts Wa in a little bit of a tricky situation with what he wants to do here. He does have 2 potential resists in the back, but they still will take a lot from Steely Spirit boosted, presumably high special attack Golden Go, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see what he goes for, and it's immediately a protect here, or a double protect, okay, and it doesn't Make It Rain. That's expected, and Metal Sound comes out. Interesting to harshly lower this. It's like fake tears, but 85% accurate. Right. Interesting though. No Fake Out, which is probably what he expected. Probably going for the double protect for that reason, and also just a scout. And so. Interesting, especially because Metal Sound it moves after, and so it's only really setting you up for the following turn. That's interesting.
That's also. I also did not know it was a 64 PP move. That's really funny.
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. Like we Make It Rain to 8.
I just saw it when you hovered it. I was like, I did not notice that.
Yeah. Immediately follow me, and we've already revealed this, so Make It Rain should still do a lot or D-Gleam just does so much damage.
Yeah, just run it back with the D-Gleam. Yeah, the follow
Ironhead. Wow, Wa's just not in a good spot here because he loses the Hydreigon again for pretty much meaningless damage. I mean, with the Colbur Berry, Golden Go is not taking much at all. You think it might even be better served into the Berserker, or maybe you just want to get the chip so you know that Arcanine takes less recoil or will get a guaranteed kill or something. I guess
something like that.
But you also can't click Terra there because you really aren't comfortable tearing in front of the potential Make It Rain, which is maybe the best play there, just to kill both. But
yeah, it's kind of tough going back to back with the Hydreigon League. I mean, I just wonder if he thought that Saline was going to back off the Goldango, or kind of like you were saying, all he really wanted was to get that chip damage in to better set up Arcanine with less recoil. Not sure, but definitely a rough turn 1 for Wa.
Yeah, it feels like a little bit of a mistake to when someone wins kind of so handily game 1. You have to force their hand, I guess, because if they win so easily game 1, why wouldn't they go for the same thing game 2? Maybe they don't, right? And they have that advantage in that sense because you have to plan around their game 1 game plan, and if they go for something else, then you might be in a bad spot. But you can't just ignore kind of what their successful strategy game 1. And it feels why did that a little? I mean, he did adapt, but the first redirection doesn't help for Golden Go, so.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think Arcanine's in a good spot in front of these 2 Steel types, though. We'll see what happens. And it's helping Hand Arc and no switch, but it is protect from Golden Go. Flare Bridge to the Berserker, so great turn.
Love this read by Wa.
And
really,
honestly,
really smart.
I think that's a sign that he understands Saline's playstyle because Saline will with Golden Go 9 times out of 10. If he's in front of a Mon that can just OHKO it, he'll either protect or switch, but usually protect first. And so that's I think that's a good knowledge of Saline's playstyle. I clearly did not have great knowledge of Saline's playstyle when Salamence was stayed on the field and wasn't clicking Terra in front of potential Ice Beam, but maybe he doesn't value Salamence that way. But Golden Go, it's very clear that he values Golden Go a lot and will kind of do whatever he can to keep Golden Go alive, whether it means protecting or switching. And so going for the Flare Blitz into the partner is actually a pretty safe bet, even though Golden Go is so strong and actually still at neutral special attack and was still next to the Steel type. It's still generally a safe bet. So good play there by Wa.
Yeah, I just absolutely love that read.
And on this following turn, he switches out. And Terra Fire from the Sylveon's interesting too. Goes for the Play Rough, so completely calls that switch. Actually, this is a great spot here for the Play Rough, because if you expect Golden Go to switch, which you almost definitely do because it can't Terra, and just collect Protect, all 3 of the switch-ins are weak to Play Rough. So that works out very well. That's the idea behind Terra Fairy Play Rough, I imagine. Helping Hand play rough, right? Because you don't need a Terra here necessarily. And just immediately Oko's the Passimian, so really good stuff there. And a Reflect from the Sylveon is interesting, too. I still think Golden Go dies to a Flare Blitz, but it might also just protect. So we'll see.
Yeah.
And is a Helping Hand here. Helping Hand Flare Blitz and Golden Go just dies. Maybe the Helping Hand was needed. I'm not sure. But Hyper Voice comes out. I think it's Throat Spray, and it is on Sylveon. And so it's now a 2v1, Whimsicott and Arcanine versus Terrifier Sylveon. So not a great way for either of these mons to hit Sylveon. And Sylveon is +1, but we saw Hyper Voice did pretty much no damage into Arcanine. So we'll see. And Psychic Fangs, wow, that's pretty interesting. Good tech there.
Yeah, Psychic Fangs is an interesting one. Breaks through the wall there. And yeah, at this point, it's just whittling Saline down. I mean, he gets pretty close.
He does, but yeah, at that point, Psychic Fangs was just doing too much damage. So yeah.
Yeah, really good game by Wah. I mean, I remember, I think it was like that turn 3, turn 4, my jaw just dropped with like how good those reads were and how much that swung in his favor. And it's kind of crazy to me. I think it says something about this matchup that Wah had 2 incredible leads that really swung the match for him. And still, like, here we are at the end of the match, and both of his mons are at like sub 15%. Kind of tough, but all the same, like, amazing play by Wah. Really good win here. Sets us up nicely for game 3.
I mean, yeah, this is like all you can ask out of like game 3, because coming into it, you're like, well, very dominant game 1 from Saline, then a back and forth game for both of them in game 2, but Wah comes out with the win and makes a lot of really good plays. Like, kind of reads Saline really hard that whole game. So
yeah,
it's really just anyone's game at this point. So. And it's Milotic Whimsicott. Very different lead. Milotic hasn't hit the field at all yet. And rips the Moonblast into Passimian. That's kind of crazy. And the Gunk Shot into Whims. It's an immediate high damage trade. Muddy Water comes out, lowers the accuracy on Sylveon, but Hyper Voice connects and gets him to +1. So now Sneasel comes on the field with Fake Out pressure too. Also has Poison Jab. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say at this point, I kind of like Wah's positioning. Yeah, it's pretty nice. That accuracy drop is also is pretty lucky.
The only thing is you traded Whimsicott not for Tailwind, but for a little bit of damage into Passimian.
Yeah, it doesn't feel great.
Because at this point, you probably need to Fake Out Passimian and then Muddy Water to pick up the kill onto it. Because Muddy Water almost definitely doesn't kill just straight up.
Nah, it did 23 last turn, right? So.
Yeah. So, but you also want to Poison Jab the Sylveon, but he could also Terra, but I doubt he Terra Fires in for Milotic, so it's just like, there's a lot of things that could happen here. I expect at least one switch from Saline, otherwise I think this turn goes in Wah's favor. Or Protect, yeah, that makes sense. And it is a Poison Jab, just straight up, which picks up the kill, so really nice actually. Works very in Wah's favor, and all of a sudden, now you're in a position, I think last turn, like maybe it's still in Saline's favor, now it's very comfortably. I think with the knowledge that Poison Jab Okos or kills Passimian from that range, yeah, definitely. So, immediate Terra here, really interesting. Oh, but it's the Rindo Berry. Wow. So, from Saline's perspective, you kill Milotic, you Terra here, so you're no longer weak to Poison Jab, and then Poison Jab goes out and Sylveon doesn't do that much damage, and you can fire back for a lot of damage. But because of the Rindo Berry, throws a complete wrench in this plan. I mean, wow, great bring there from Wah.
Yeah, this goes back to what I was saying at the top of the match, is I just think Wah's prep is somewhat unrivaled, and the Rindo Berry shows it. I mean, this completely kind of throws Saline's plan out the window a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this plays out now.
Yeah, and so Sylveon's probably going to be in for a big hit. Oh, low sweep, taking so much damage there. Oh, no!
Yeah, but...
Muddy Water low sweep was a really safe play. Because the only thing is, like, maybe Sylveon, like, that doesn't Terra, but then you could, like, Poison Jab Muddy Water, and that's fine, too. I like the low sweep, though. I think this was a fine play if you just went for that, and, but yeah, it feels like a huge mistake. ripping the
I'm
double.
guessing he wasn't expecting the low sweep to do as much as it did, because I mean, I know Muddy Water's also, what is it, 85% accuracy? So
Yeah,
I
it's
know
not
you're also worried
100%.
about, yeah, you're worried about the miss, I suppose, and you want to like I guess that's the case, right? Is you want to guarantee the kill as opposed to leaving it to chance. But yeah, the Muddy Water just feels so good. You saw the Fire Terra in game 2, I think it was, so you can. You
Yeah,
know,
no,
it's
I
not a
think it's
it's not a crazy read. So yeah, I think Muddy Water
I think it's worth the
has to be the
risk
play
for
there.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now a big hyper voice come out. Milotic dies, and Sneasel goes into
Yeah.
Sash. So,
Whew.
but I will note it's Mence and Sylveon versus Arcanine and Sneasel, so it's still a 2v2.
Yeah.
And the -1 attack on the Mence, I don't think we've revealed what. No, it's Hurricane, so it is special. Mence, which I think he's brought most of the time.
Yeah.
But it's special Mence and 1 HP Sneasel, -1 accuracy Sylveon could matter, and -1
Absolutely.
attack Arcanine could matter. But both the Terras are still active, I believe. Meaning
And
Terra
Salamence
Fairy
has only showed
Arcanine.
Salamence has only shown Hurricane, right, as far as damaging moves go.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have the accuracy drop on Sylveon. Only have seen Hurricane on Salamence. So you know that's something that could work in Wa's favor here in the closing bit. Is, are any of these moves going to be misses?
What's crazy though is is the dynamic of Arcanine and Salamence, because Arcanine is Terra Fairy Play Rough, which should do a lot into Mence, but Mence has Terra Poison, which opens him up to Psychic Fangs, and so it's like a little bit like just a huge mind game kind of here. We'll see what happens. And it's just a protect. He just opts out of it. Poison Temperature is a good bit to Sylveon, and it's a double into Sylveon, but not enough. Wow, even with the crit though, and really not doing any damage to Arcanine, so Arcanine should feel comfortable going into Mence here. Hurricane does a lot and gets the confusion, hits himself. Oh, that's
so
game.
Unlucky. Yeah, and that's just game.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty unlucky conclusion for Wa. I mean, I think he played it really good, and Saline definitely got a lucky turn 5 there. Saline played it great too. It's not like it came down purely to luck, but I mean that's just a really unfortunate turn to close the match out in what was otherwise like just a really good competitive set.
Both people pointed out that Mence couldn't Terra because Sylveon was Terra
Right.
Fire, but still,
Right.
no play. That makes Play Rough even more kind of obvious, and he still opted for the Psychic Fangs into Sylveon instead of the Mence, which is interesting. And then, I mean, it worked out great, but then it was still kind of over at that point, so pretty unfortunate. Also meant that, like, if Sneasel were to be running CC, which it wasn't, even if it were, it probably would have killed Sylveon from that range, I imagine, because of Poison Jab doing 38.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But
Implications of this match, like we said at the top, were huge, because now Saline at this point, I believe, is locked into playoffs, and then Wa's chances of top 4 significantly went down at this point. I want to say I don't think he was completely out of the top 4, but
I think if Nick
definitely
won against Saibon, which Saibon at this point 7-0, but Nick is also 3-0 from when he took over for SMB. So 2 technically undefeated players going head to head. So that matchup will matter a lot. But if Nick is able to win, then Wa gets kicked out of that top 4. Yes, and Saline does solidify himself in playoffs too.
Yeah, huge win for Saline. I mean, Saline was my least favorite team of the season to have to prep for, so I'm not thrilled that they made it to playoffs. I think I was joking about this in the Discord. I just got like, I think like when I was doing mocks with Sibin, I think I started like 0-5, 0-6 in mocks against Saline's team. So. No, it's not. It's Saibon. I say it incorrectly, and I've known him for over a decade, and I just like refuse to correct myself. So,
oh, gotcha.
Sorry about that.
No, you knew him better, so I thought I was saying it wrong this whole time.
I'm just over here spreading fake news. Worst friend ever.
All right, let's move on to the next matchup, which is it is Nick for Saibon.
Yeah, perfect transition. Yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
It's almost like we knew that. I didn't. But we see Saibon has 2 ground terras and 3 dark terras on a psychic terra. What was he cooking?
Dude, I have no clue what these terras are crazy.
Oh, probably the darks for the Psy spam, I imagine.
Yeah,
The
sure.
psychic also resists Psy spam and doesn't open him up to fairy. I don't know why. Or the psychic. And then the 2 ground is interesting. Maybe the ground resisting on the Rotom resisting like rock from Rhyperior.
Yeah.
Ground on Memos for more damage. Ground on Rotom is for Terra Blast, and then Darks and Psychic are for Psy Spam. Okay, thanks for confirming.
Damn, spoiling the match over here. Now we know it's a Terra Blast, but okay, yeah, makes sense.
I mean, who knows if he'll click it?
Yeah, Simmons' choices every week for Terras are really interesting, and most of the time he explains them to me, and I won't lie, some of it goes over my head. I'm like, all right, cool, man, sounds good. You're cooking.
From Nick, we have very standard Terras. Terra Grass on Rhyperior is just like the most obvious Terra because, or Water, I guess, as well. But the 4 times weaknesses to Grass and Water both turn into resistances with Terra Grass.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense for that. And then Terra Steel on is just really good in general in these 2 mons. Though it does keep your ground weakness actually on Armrouge, so that's interesting. And then Terra Bug here is probably for increased damage, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, looking at this, it just feels like Rhyperior is about to be a big Terra Hog. I honestly don't remember if that's
probably
how this plays out
I'd imagine.
Yeah,
I mean, especially because one of the other best offensive mons is Terra Band, so.
Yeah, exactly.
And DD likes clicking Terra as well, but can't. So.
Yep.
So yeah, let's get into it. Also interesting to see the Trick Room potential here, or the Tailwind potential with Rabambi immediately. So neutralizing gas doesn't actually affect much here in terms of these 2 mons, but Terra Dark right away is interesting. Fake Tears comes out into Slacking. Wow. Huge turn 1 from Nick.
This turn 1 from Nick is crazy because he just perfectly reads. I mean, he's obviously like, okay, I'm going against Slacking Wheezing. I know he's going to lead Slacking Wheezing. This is like the anti-Slacking Wheezing start, like to a T. And I'm surprised by the read because I was going back and watching Sibbins matches, and I don't think he leads Slacking Wheezing that often. I mean, fact check me on this, but like it was not a common lead throughout the season. So the fact that Nick was just so perfectly prepped for it and chose for that as his game 1 lead, I was like, hot damn, like that is, I mean, yeah, like that was, my jaw dropped when I watched this live. That was
well, and also, I mean, there's so many ways this could go wrong. If it's AV slacking, as Saibon said he considered running. If it's a protect on slacking, I mean, we know that he's a Terra Psychic, but if he were like a Terra type that, for some reason, he were running like Terra Fire, to deal with like Torkoal and Armrouge, then it'd add another layer. But like, this also means you're not getting up Tailwind. But I mean, maybe you don't want to click Tailwind turn 1. It's just. There's kind of a lot of ways this could go wrong, but it's clearly it worked out very, very well. So great turn 1. And what do you lose? 31% of HP on Rabambi, 17% on Armrouge, nothing. And he wastes his Terra.
Yeah, it's a small cost for just putting Sibbin on the back foot. I mean, you've called out before. This is kind of a 2-2-2 team that, like, in theory, if you can do something like this, you get Sibbin out of position. And in my mind, that's kind of what's going to happen here now, as we move on to the next turns. Where does he go from here? Like, losing Slacking on turn 1 is not in Sibbin's prep. So now immediately he's just going to be on the back foot for the rest of the match. And to your point, the cost for Nick, incredibly low.
Yeah, really works out in Nick's favor. So immediately Clawwitzer has to come out here, and I mean it's very threatening into Armrouge at least, but can do a lot of neutral damage, probably kill Rabambi. So interesting to see what he goes for here. And it's a Moonblast off rip, lowers the special attack, and just rips the armor cannon. Probably revealing specs, right? Because I don't. Why would he not just like click it into Wheezing or click Psychic move into Clawwitzer and kill?
No,
it's
yeah,
Scarf.
so
it's Scarfed out.
Yeah, he Yeah, he went Scarf, max special attack. So I mean, this thing was like decked out to just get that slacking kill. So at this point, it's like he's done his job and he's just gonna freaking unload until this thing faints. Is basically the Armarouche's job.
Yeah, and he will faint right away from the water pulse, even without Mega Launcher, because it's -2 and super effective, right? Claw's just really strong. So Rhyperior comes out on a Clefable switch, but it probably doesn't stop Rhyperior from clicking Terra Grass here. Oh, he doesn't. Wow. And completely reads Saibon again with a heavy slam into Clefable. Wow.
Yeah,
Huge reads again, because I mean that'd be not very effective into Clawitzer. He would have lost, or actually probably would have killed Clawitzer still, just because of the low HP. But if it somehow hadn't, then it would have done huge damage into Rhyperior, or it would have almost OHKO'd, or would have OHKO'd.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, Nick's just taking such advantage of the fact that Sibin is out of position. He's kind of scrambling to get himself back in position, and Nick clearly, like, I mean, props to his prep, because he's just ready to punish this. He's like, I know if I take your slacking out turn 1, I'm going to put you in a position to scramble. I'm going to have the tools that as you scramble, I can get the reads as you reposition, and it's just like, yeah, man, if I'm Sibin in this position, I'm so tilted. Like,
yeah.
what do you even do here?
Yeah, I've said all season that Saibon's team isn't I think it's like an average team, I guess, or like a below average team, but he plays it really, and like the problem is if it gets out of position, then it's just so much worse than normal, right? But he's just been so good at positioning that it hasn't really been a problem for him. But we can see here that like there is actually a problem if he gets out of position. Like he gets out of position because Slacking dies, and now he has to switch in Clawitzer next to Wheezing, which he doesn't want to do because it weakens Clawitzer, right? And there's it makes Wheezing feel a little bit worse overall. Can only click some weak Dazzling Gleams, but it means that his position is significantly more exploitable, right? And so when he's out of position, you can see Nick completely takes advantage of that, and great play there. Reveals Citrus on the Clefable, and it is a Wisp into Rhyperior, but you got so much damage off, it's definitely worth it. Because now it's only Wheezing at full HP, Clawitter's really low, Clefable's really low, and you have still another unrevealed mon in the back, on top of a lot of HP on Rhyperior.
He still has his Terra, yeah. I mean, Nick's in a great position. He definitely earned it. So Sibin's gonna have to, pull a small miracle here to kind of claw his way back for sure.
Yeah, and Protect from Clefable makes sense for expecting a Heavy Slam, but so much damage on the Moonblast into Wheezing. Rabambi goes down, but honestly, that's fine. I mean, it's not good necessarily, but it's not bad at all, right?
You got two turns left on Tailwind here, so like if I'm Sibin, I'm like, okay, there's a hope here, but it's certainly a closing window, especially as we see Clefable going down here from another Heavy Slam.
The double follow me is interesting. I might expect, if this is D-Gleam on Indeedee, you expect him to just click it, right? Because then Wheezing goes down, and then Heavy Slam kills Clefable. Switch in from Clawitzer wouldn't matter because it would die. So it's probably not Indeedee or D-Gleam on Indeedee, or maybe he does just as well to reveal it. D-Gleam on Indeedee is also like less common. So, also, yeah, it is kind of crazy that Rhyperior is so fast, just because he clearly has some speed investment, and he's outspeeding these two mons. So good prep there by Nick, but the double redirection means that Wheezing is going to be able to get off an attack, but probably won't be doing that much damage, I imagine. Yep, really just kind of pitiful damage. And Clawitzer comes out, but it's pretty much over for that thing, so.
Yeah, so Sibin's hope here is, double protect, wait out the Tailwind. So, he definitely makes the right play, but just with the Grass Terra up, it's,
with the Grass Terra, which was I think that's a reasonable play. Rockside's also a reasonable play. It's just still pretty much over. I mean, like, Clawitzer would have to, survive, or he would have to kill Indeedee, and like Wheezing still has to attack. I mean, like, there's just no way to kill this Rhyperior this turn, and I mean, Rockslide kills Clawitzer.
Yeah, and I love Nick's prep here with the 188 speed EV Rhyperior. It's just like this thing is a menace right now. So
yeah, it made it work so well, and the outspeeding both of these mons outside of Tailwind too. Yeah, beautiful. because he punishes the two mons that typically want to be more defensive, so they're not running much speed. So he's able to outspeed them. Wheezing flinches, but really wouldn't have mattered. So that is game in a very, very well played game one from Nick. Really earned that win.
And at this point, Sibin is undefeated. I guess he had dropped a game earlier in the season. I think.
To me, yeah.
So that's not his first game. Oh yeah, right. Okay, yeah.
I won game one and then sold the next two games, but.
Yeah. Okay. So that's not his first game loss. But all the same, I mean, really strong start here from Nick, showing why he's undefeated and sets up for a pretty nerve-wracking game two if you're.
Oh yeah. I mean.
But definitely correctable, right? Like I think the slacking wheezing lead got red, so don't do that again. Step one.
Don't do the exact same play. I mean, it's fine to lead it maybe, but with the same lead here, we do see a different lead. Very standard.
If it ain't
lead
broke,
for
don't fix it.
Moonblast comes out into Mamo, and E-Force, single target E-Force comes out. As Thunderbolt comes out, and Earthquake should kill both, actually. Yeah, really good start for Saibon, actually.
Much better start. Yeah.
Feels very interesting turn one play for Nick, because what are you really accomplishing there? The answer is kind of nothing. I mean, you don't even get up Tailwind on Rabombi, which he revealed game one, right? He used that to his advantage. Don't even fake Tears to make the E-Force do more damage, or to set it up for like Indeedee in the back maybe to do more damage. It feels like a pretty good start for Saibon, especially because Mamo probably almost definitely outspeeds this Rhyperior. And Rotom, I mean, if you should go for, well, I guess you can't go for Overheat Earthquake because Indeedee has redirection, but you can kill Indeedee. Oh, and Lightning Rod, I guess you can't even Lightning Rod. Or you can't even Thunderbolt the Indeedee. So, and Rotom's not in a great spot here, especially being weak to Rhyperior. But Mamo's in a good spot to just click Earthquake. So,
yep.
It is Terra Grass, which makes sense. Thunderbolt.
This is a pretty critical error from Sibin here to Thunderbolt into the potential Lightning Rod. And yeah, like obviously giving that buff to Rhyperior is not great after such a good turn one.
Yeah, I mean it is special. Rhyperior is obviously a special attacker too, so it's it boosts him. No, it's I think Lightning Rod's a pretty usual bring, pretty normal bring into a Rotom. When Rotom is like one of the cornerstones of Saibon's offense, so. Big mistake there. Probably just forgot about it. And we see no follow me. So an overheat into Rhyperior would have just been so good, actually. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, I think overheat and Icicle Crash, and it's game over right away, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You close that on turn two.
And even if it is a follow me, that does so much to Indeedee that it's kind of crazy. So. But instead we see Psychic come out into Rotom. Earthquake comes out, shouldn't do that much damage. It does actually half to Indeedee though. And Terra Blast comes out into Mamo, so that's pretty nice. Only problem now is that there is the double follow me, right? So Indeedee can die to an overheat, even though Rhyperior won't die that turn. He has to kind of balance wanting to Rock Slide into the Rotom and also trying to Heavy Slam into Clefable, but we saw previous game the Heavy Slam into Clefable actually didn't OHKO, right? It only did 93%, so maybe it's a roll to kill. Maybe it never kills. You don't know at this point, so it's a little risky to just click that, so a little bit of a mind game there. But with Helping Hand, it's actually no longer a mind game. Wow. Terra Blast on Rotom is again a mistake. I think he forgot to pack Overheat. Yeah, he forgot to pack Overheat.
Yeah. I was gonna say it gets revealed by the end of the match, but this Rotom doesn't have Overheat, tragic. So it's kind of cooked.
That's a huge mistake on Saibon's part because Overheat's such a fun Rotom. The one fire type move he gets because as the Rotom heat form is Overheat. All the Rotom forms get a very strong move of their new stab type, and Rotom's is Overheat. So by not doing that, you don't have any fire moves at all. And by writing Terra Ground, you don't even have a fire move from your Terra Fire, Terra Blast. So no fire moves on a Rhyperior that likes running Terra Grass, and Rabombi is not great. there's obviously Armarouge with Flash Fire and Torkoal, who also resists fire. So maybe he thought it wasn't necessary, but Terragrass Rhyperior has been brought a few times. So a little unfortunate to see that on Cybon. And we see that with the Helping Hand, more than enough to Oko Clefable there. So suddenly it's a 2v2, and it's Clawitzer, who already revealed, or we've already know, is not the best Mon to be set up in this endgame because he doesn't have a great move in Rhyperior. I mean, he has some strong attack, but Terra Blast is faster than Clawitzer. So we'll see what they go for here. It's Protect from Clawitzer, which does make some sense. Follow Me. Terra Blast doesn't even do that much damage, and Terra Blast goes into Protect. So yeah, it is pretty much cooked here because you outspeed and should Oko Clawitzer, and you do. So at this point, it's Rotom versus Rhyperior and no Overheat.
Just
and
a
so
Terra Blast. It's heartbreaking.
Barring like 2 Rock Slide misses, or a Rock Slide miss and a crit, or like 2 really high rolls or something, it's really bad. Yeah, the double Protect on Clawitzer was kind of the best out, and so not going for that means you don't even have much of a chance for a comeback, but overall, just really unfortunate game for Cybon.
Yep, and areas in the chat forgot Overheat, so is what it is. But I will say, just credit to Nick. I mean, pretty terrifying player and coming into the playoffs. So he goes 4-0, right? So he's undefeated going into it. And I guess, like, unlike my undefeated record, it's like there's 8 games of footage on me. I don't think that my team has like a lot of. I mean, I guess I hope I have some surprises left. But it's like there's a lot of footage on me. There's a lot of scouting. Nick, I feel like I still am kind of learning new things about his team and how he likes to play each week. So definitely gives him kind of an edge going into playoffs. And yeah, this is just a terrifying player. Showed clearly like really good prep here, really good execution. Huge props to Nick. Definitely one of the scarier opponents in playoffs, I would say.
Oh, for sure. We've kind of seen the Terragrass Rhyperior a few times. So the Hacker Spring was interesting, though he didn't actually send it out. But still, so many tools on his team, or so many strategies he hasn't taken advantage of, and so the problem is there's a threat of like, well, he hasn't brought it in the past, so maybe he doesn't bring it, but there's the threat of him bringing it still because it's a valid strategy. And I'm not going to go through all of his potential strategies that he isn't using, but having those strategies, and if the opponent is aware of them or not, either way it's a problem, because if they're not aware of them and he brings them, it's a problem, or if they're aware of them and prep into them and he doesn't bring them, then it's a problem. So
yeah, and some cool playoff implications here. I mean, Nick is now fighting for a top 4 seed with this win, right? I think with the loss, it was basically maybe it was still possible, but the win definitely gives him really good chance, especially with Wah having taken the L in that last set. So that's pretty big. I mean, the difference between top 4 and bottom 4 is huge. And then I mean, I remember like Sibin, was one of the 2 undefeated teams. And loses that, and so now all the pressure's on me in my match later.
And speaking of, I think your match might be up. No, it's Rick for Circle. I think you're the one after.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But with Rick for Sharkle, this game I don't think had any playoff implications because Rick lost to you prior week. I think maybe there was a chance if some crazy things happened, but I think maybe I think it was like with Wall losing, it wasn't possible. I think it was like.
I know.
Exactly how it worked out.
Yeah, if there were playoff odds, I think at this point Rick is like sub 10%, but I don't think he was completely ruled out at this point. But yeah, I mean, frankly, like all love and respect to Rick. I don't know the guy too well, but I am rooting for Charcoal Oven hard in this matchup. Like after last week's match with Rick, I don't want to see this guy ever again. I don't want to play against this team. That was I feel like I got totally exposed in week 7 by this team. So I am definitely rooting for Charcoal coming into this match big time.
Well, I know Charcoal wanted to have some fun with this matchup because he was already eliminated from playoffs, and he's been a good player the last 2 seasons, but this season was by far his worst. And so coming into this matchup, he wants to end the season on a high note so that he can go into the future season with a little bit more confidence. And again, he is a good player, so the fact that he hasn't found success this season isn't a testament to his skill necessarily. It's just hasn't been playing kind of to his potential. So hopefully we can see kind of a flash of that potential here. So we'll even watch from his perspective. How about that? So immediately it's a Basque Legion Kilowattrel lead into a Executor Grimstar lead, and we immediately learned the items on both too, which is huge. So Covert Cloak means that Fake Out won't work into either of these mons, which is probably why it was the lead. I mean, makes a lot of sense from Rick's perspective. And the banned Basque Legion will do so much damage, even neutrally, with the Wave Crash into Grimmsnarl. So very much a threat, but has to watch out for both of these mons. A Dark type and a Grass type is both super effective into Basque Legion. Executor has to look out for the Flying type attack on Kilowattrel. Has to look out for the speed control on this side, so or on both sides, I guess, because Thunder Wave could come out, Trick Room could come out, Tailwind could come out. I do expect Trick Room here from Executor, so it feels pretty safe. So we'll see what ends up happening. A light screen here means the Hurricane, wow, Hurricane, he completely tanks that because of the light screen. Would have taken so much damage otherwise, but still takes a good bit of damage. Weakness policy, though, is really fire tech.
Yeah, the weakness policy is so sick. And
live from Grimstar.
I know. This is such a good turn one for Charcoal Oven. Just like both triggering the weakness policy, great read, great prep, and then Grimmsnarl. I don't know if that was a guaranteed survival or if I got a little lucky there, but I thought I had the Pokey Paste pulled up, but I don't. But either way, just like incredible turn one for Charcoal. Surviving that kind of puts Rick in a bit of a tough position now.
Oh, especially, and I mean, we'll see if he goes for Trick Room, but he goes for Giga Drain instead, kills Basque Legion turn one, and gets almost all of his health back. Wow, and he's +2.
He's got light screen. He's
immediately
buffed.
in a great position. Yeah.
Yeah.
Only problem is Hurricane will still do a lot of damage, and I don't know why it always does this, where like the speed is inaccurate and like the type is inaccurate with like
super annoying.
Also, his name is Tauros Paldea Blaze, which is hilarious. And Slow King Galar, is he just Bruxis? He's just naming them after other Pokemon.
Oh wait, was the Gastrodon named Gastrodon, or did I misread that?
No. Sorry, he's not. He hasn't been said yet. But Bruxish, Tauros Paldea Blaze, and Slow King Galar. Slow King Galar is able to do this because I think it's Galarian Slow King technically.
Yeah.
But that's it is pronounced Giga Drain, by the way. This is a very interesting situation because there still is the threat of Hurricane doing a lot of damage and Alchemy doing a lot of damage into Executor. But we'll see kind of what ends up happening here. Terra Steel, though, means that the Hurricane does not much. Confusion, though, could matter. Deagling picks up the kill here. And Dragon Pulse gets ripped. So, again, no Trick Room. He's just going for hard offense. And it works out. Yeah, it works out because Iron Moth here comes out. Yeah. Again, just a completely different Pokemon.
That's awesome.
But all of a sudden, I mean, Gastrodon's 4 times weak to Giga Drain, and then Alchemy's still going to take a lot of damage because it's +2. If it's Terra Steel, Terra Blast, it's just an OHKO, right? But things are looking really dire for Rick. And it is a follow me right away. Oh, the follow me on the Decorate is so tough. Because Earthquake or Earthquake would probably be best because it hits both, right, for super effective. But Earth Power, either way, would do a lot of damage with Decorate. Would OHKO Executor easily with +2, I imagine. But all of a sudden, that gets redirected, and the Yawn comes out as Giga Drain just completely OHKOs. Crit did not matter there because +2 and 4 times super effective, and things are just so over. We're feeling Eerie Impulse kind of for no reason. But it's fine.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. Light Screen's still 2 more turns. I mean, there's just no hope here. This was a crazy game 1 for Charcoal Oven. Really well played. Then we get this kind of like pain split thing for a couple of turns, I think. So like, is what it is. Kind of stalls out a little bit, but there's really no hope.
And he literally says that I already lost, but I can still be annoying.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but there's. At this point, there's... Oh, wow, yeah. There's no chance anymore. So, that is a very, very clean win for Charcoal there. Really funny to see 2+2+2 Mons on his field at the end. And lost Grimmsnarl, who he went for light screen literally turn 1 and then didn't do anything else. So even if he had died to Wave Crash, that would have been completely fine for him. So very, very well played. I thought Trick Room was pretty obvious both the first 2 turns, but didn't go for it either time and got 2 huge Okos. So
no, I mean, if you're gonna get that
better.
if you're gonna get that weakness policy triggered, like at that point, you just go Chad mode with the Executor.
Yeah, very, very well played by Charcoal, and so game 2 is going to be exciting. We're going to watch from his perspective again, but it's immediately an Ndidi Kilowattra lead. Sorry, a Mirko Slowking Galar lead here, as a very different lead from Charcoal with Gardevoir and Electrode. But Gardevoir does match up well into these 2 Mons, and Electrode is so fast that should be pretty good too. Discharge comes out with Telepathy, reveals it is very likely competitive on Kilowattrel. And Discharge is so much damage there. Wow. Also, with 2 prominent electric types, you would expect Volt Absorb actually, because competitive, he has Fake Tears Grimmsnarl, but other than that, I don't know what he's doing to drop stats.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by the competitive for sure.
But it's and yeah, it was Volt Absorb versus Juvie, which makes sense because you have the Arch, right? But which is more threatening than these 2 Mons, but still, Discharge is 64, so a lot of damage there. And we'll see if it is Scarf or something. Gardevoir. Yep, it just clicks the E-Force, does so much damage.
This is another great turn 1 by Charcoal, just predicting the Psychic Terrain coming out, and really props to Charcoal. Honestly, you mentioned at the top that Charcoal Oven's a great player. This Charcoal Oven is terrifying. I am relieved that this guy is not going to be in playoffs, because these two, the 2 openings to these games after Rick pushed me, it's just wow, really impressed by his play here.
Yeah, and this is why I prefaced that he's a great player, because he was 2-5 before this game, right? So he was having a bad season and legitimately was not playing super well, but we can see he's not a bad player. It showed very clearly. Played an amazing game 1, already in such a good spot game 2. You can see that Ndidi only clicked Imprison, which won't do anything because he's just going to die next turn. So just so much offense for Charcoal here and no stopping at all. So
yeah.
And Espeon comes out, but it's pretty much cooked for him. Switching out in front of the 2 Psychic types, and Imprison is probably locking E-Force anyway. So with Scarf Gardevoir, you don't want to be struggling. So switch out is obvious there. And then Electrode going probably for Discharge to boost them, to give Electivire the motor drive and to do damage to both. And that's exactly what it is. He picks up the kill and does a good bit to Espeon, actually. As E-Force comes out, does a lot of damage, actually. But this is +1 Electivire now. And it's Scarf Gardevoir, so it should very easily be over. With the Terra Dark here, he goes for Aqua Jet in Psychic Terrain, which is crazy.
A bit of a misplay there.
But it was kind of over anyways. And with the Terra Dark, Terra Blast, and Oko on Vascular Legion, and then Knockoff is fine, right? Because even though you lose Electivire, it doesn't really matter at this point. It's very, very over. So
diff don't matter when you're out of playoffs. So
yeah. So very, very, very good set from Charcoal there, and I'm glad to see him kind of play at the level that he is at, right? He is a player of this caliber, and so it's good to see him showing it. I think we saw some players kind of do the same, where they had some weeks where they didn't really reflect their skill level. Weeks 2 and 3, Dallas looked like a terrible VGC player. Then week 4, he puts up an amazing show versus me. So we've seen a lot of examples of that. Soup, Saline, a lot of examples of players just who are great at VGC and have a lot of potential, or are great players, but they just don't have off weeks. And Charcoal's had a little bit of an off season, but great week this week. Can't stress that enough. So.
Yeah, I think also it just shows, like, to me, it felt like he was playing loose. Like, when there are no stakes, it's easier just to kind of, like, trust your gut, have fun, go for maybe kind of more aggressive plays than you would normally play. And, to me, there was no overthinking here. He played loose. And yeah, I mean, it was terrifying to watch,
Yeah.
especially knowing that Rick is a quality player. This is not like a guy who subbed in and like some scrub off the streets. Like, no, this guy's really good. And Charcoal, I don't think there was any point in this set. I mean,
No.
what was it? It was like turn 4, game 2, and how
Yeah.
many turns?
It was
like,
8 turns, but it was basically
Oh,
4 turns of game 1. So it was basically an 8-turn set.
Yeah, I mean, like, this guy finished the set faster than like some folks this week finished entire games. Cough, alluding to you in Spam's match later. But
Well, I mean,
but
literally last week or 2 weeks ago, like I think one of those was a 2-0 win for me, and I had like 20 something games in that set.
yeah,
and it was a 2-0 win. But
yeah, your team tends to take it slow. There we go, tongue twister, couldn't get that out. But yeah, like, just awesome performance by Charcoal. Love that he has that going into like the off season. Good confidence booster, and like I'll certainly be rethinking like how I match up into him in future seasons, because as a newcomer, this is a really impressive showing. So love that he closed the season out that way.
And we saw Rick shine last week, so it's not like he's a pushover either. I mean, he had a great week against you. Almost won if he had click protect on Espeon, but
yeah, we don't talk about that. But all the same, I shout out to my boy Charcoal for knocking out Rick, because honestly, like that I feel like that gives my chance of a good playoff run a slight nudge. Unfortunate for Rick, he subbed in. He had it like, despite going 0-2, because I guess that's what Rick was since he subbed in. But it's funny because I feel like he's a 2-0 player. Like, he is really good. It's pretty unfortunate that he stepped into the league this late and was only able to show an 0-2 performance. But I was really impressed by him. I hope I get to like play against him again soon.
Yeah.
But also grateful it's not in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. But speaking of you in the playoffs, I mean, you went up against Pilza here, which had a lot of playoff implications for him. For you, because Cybon lost, I think if you lost 0-2, then you would be knocked down to the 2 seed. Otherwise, I think it was guaranteed that you were the 1 seed.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit before going into the week, about like how much seeding really mattered, how much we cared about it, and all of that good stuff. And yeah, I'll be careful with my commentary here. I guess I'll avoid spoilers as to why, but I don't want to talk too much about my prep going into Pilza for playoff reasons. But yeah, I was very eager for this matchup. Pills has been a really impressive player the entire season, honestly. So I was really looking forward to this match.
Wait, you said you want to break down kind of your strategy?
Oh no, I'm saying I absolutely don't want to break down my strategy or any of my thinking. There's one thing I'm proud of in my prep, that as we go into the matches, I will highlight. There was something pretty cool that felt good going into this one and gave me a lot of confidence. But yeah, otherwise, if I'm light on the commentary for this one in particular, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, normally if whoever's matches is, I ask to like take the reins, but that's fine. Yeah. Because Pilzo also went for a lot of interesting stuff this week. I kind of advised him to not go for his best counters into you, because I figured that he would be playing you again in playoffs, or like round 1 of playoffs. And so if he revealed all the strategy in a game that didn't matter, then for the game that does matter, he's going to be severely disadvantaged. So the goal was to come up with as many unorthodox sets as possible, and you'll see a lot of those throughout this match. Stuff that some of which were actually genuinely good or could be brought again. And some of which were meant to kind of test the water and see that like maybe they're good, maybe they're not, but they're so outlandish that we need to try them out before we can really say if they're worth bringing or not.
Yeah, totally makes sense, and we'll see that play out for sure.
Yeah. So heading into the matchup, it's a Clef Key Mimikyu lead, kind of very obvious Trick Room, because both Mons are setters, but It is Pelipper Kingdra, and Kingdra actually, I think, had only been brought a handful of times before this, despite being an A-tier Mon.
Yeah, I want to say only once or twice. Kingdra's been a weird one all season for me because it feels like that Mon that I want to bring. But honestly, like I've just been able to get so much value out of both Pelipper and Azumarill. We were talking about this in DMs. Like I think Azumarill was grossly undervalued in the draft.
Yeah.
I think it was like 5 points, and we were talking about like this thing probably it can be bumped up an entire tier. And so Kingdra kind of falls in this really awkward territory where I'm like, do I really want to bring 3 water Mons? Is kind of what it comes down to. So that's primarily the reason why it's Pelipper is essentially a non-negotiable with a lot of what I want to do, and then Azumarill with just that fairy typing is really nice into a lot of matchups. So puts Kingdra in kind of an unfortunate position. So I was really happy that I got to actually bring out the Kingdra because it's a fun Mon. I love you see it with Beartic too, right? I love me some Swift Swim.
Yeah.
So I was glad that we finally got a chance to kind of show it. Because I think before this it was either once or maybe twice I brought the Kingdra. I can't remember.
But you did bring the Beartic a lot as a D-tier Mon. So that was interesting.
Oh yeah, Beartic and Azumarill are low key my favorite Mons in my entire team. I love if I can force the. Sometimes it feels like I'm genuinely forcing them in prep. I'm just like, what's the Beartic angle here? I'm pretty sure in like multiple drafts I had Beartic going into this week, and Sibin had to be like, dude, what are you doing? Like, stop.
With King Gambit and Clef King.
Yeah, it's just
Indirectly, yeah, it was kind of cooked, but the Terra Steel on Kingdra is kind of pretty obvious or strong into like these two fairy types who would want to be doing a lot of damage to Kingdra. Interesting to see what Klefki will go for, or which one of them will go for Trick Room, and it is immediately a Terra Steel. And this was a strategy that I was like, dude, you gotta try this, which is Choice Band Switcheroo on Klefki onto Pelipper. So expecting a Pelipper whatever lead, anticipating that to go for a Choice Band Switcheroo to give Choice Band Pelipper, which is obviously pretty bad for it. If it clicks Tailwind, that's really bad. If it clicks any like Hurricane or Weather Ball, then whatever Mon resists in the back, because there are Mons that resist both of those, can be in a much better spot.
Yeah, the logic here is great. The unfortunate reality is like this happens and I just shrug. I'm like, okay, we're big chilling right now.
Yeah,
So
no,
it's
it
like,
really doesn't do that much.
It doesn't do anything at all. Yeah.
But Muddy Water comes out here. Does actually have to Klefki. Breaks Disguise here. But we'll see. Pelipper also goes for Muddy Water, but misses, which is kind of nice. As Mimikyu's able to get up a Trick Room, but loses half health on both these Mons. And Klefki didn't really accomplish much that turn. It means, though, Pelipper and Kingdra are probably just going to keep spamming Muddy Water because they're pretty free to do so.
I was really overthinking turn 2 because I'm like, am I literally about to just run this back? But I mean, we'll see here in a second.
It's a switch into Gambit immediately, and then Sandstorm. I was like, Sandstorm would be funny because Weather Ball on Pelipper is would be turned into a Fire type move, which is good into literally half his team. So with Sandstorm, all of a sudden it's only good into Araquanid, and actually resisted by these 2 Steel types.
I really liked the Sandstorm. It was not something I had prepped for. That was definitely an oversight, and it immediately made sense to me. I was like, oh yeah, this Weather Ball move is basically like maybe not useless, but I really like this for Pills' prep.
And without Muddy Water there, if Weather Ball was your only water type attack, which is typical actually for Pelippers, then it would have been even worse. But
yeah, I think this was the first week I brought Muddy Water on Pelipper.
So unfortunate. But Muddy Water missed Klefki again, which is huge, and then crits the Gambit actually, which is crazy. But Clef comes out now. Kowtow does a good bit to Kingdra, but Gambit does go down after only one Kowtow. Fairy loses so much health on switching.
I just feel like my wins are never impressive. Like, it's always dumb shit like this where it's just 3 turns of spamming Muddy Water.
You put Muddy Water 6 times in 2 turns. Yeah.
Just bashing my head into the keyboard. So.
Yeah, and then no thoughts, just Muddy Water. And Mimikyu comes out, Busted Disguise, but Azumarill with Room Service is interesting. Moonblast and Kingdra, and then
Yeah, so this was the Azumarill prep that I was really happy with, because basically, like, Azumarill was set up to always be in a good speed position, specifically against King Gambit with Room Service. EV'd it in a way where outside of Trick Room, I was always faster than King Gambit, and then within Trick Room, I was always going to be
Were you slower
a
than
point faster.
Clefairy too, or no?
What was that?
Were you slower than Clefairy with Room Service? Or just Gambit?
I don't remember. I was mostly focused on the Gambit.
Was Arachnid too, or?
I'd have to go back and check now. Yeah.
But yeah, playoff only does 30% to Azu, and there's still one more turn of Trick Room here, which is unfortunate. Also, the side effect of Kingdra being Terra Steel is that it actually doesn't take Sandstorm damage, which is hilarious.
Yeah, not part of my prep, just a happy accident. We'll call that. Yeah.
And yeah, it's a pretty kind of cooked situation for Pilza, but yes, we have a it's kind of funny, we have a new first time chatter, so that's cool. Welcome to the stream. But you can watch Pilza kind of be cooked. This Pelipper comes out here. Azu's now in a really good position. And yeah, it's pretty much over because it's Clef at 23 and the other Clef at 14. So very easy for a pickup here from both, and very clean 4-0 win. Just clicked Muddy Water a bunch, and Pilza did a lot of switching. Didn't actually bring Arachnid, who might have been good, or Superior. The two water resists,
Superior.
actually.
Yeah, so that's why I said it made sense that, like, y'all were experimenting with different sets, not trying to show your hand, because after game one, I was really scratching my head as, like, where the hell was Superior? That was the best mon you had into me. So I was pretty shocked, and it became somewhat clear to me in game one. I was like, okay, this is like a feel out game. This is not a, like, desperately trying to beat the game. At least that was my read, because I was like, that's the only explanation I have for, like, not seeing Superior in a game one in this matchup.
Yeah, I think coming into game two, I think that Pilza definitely needs to bring at least Arachnid, but Superior is definitely an option as well. The idea of Arachnid in Rain is kind of nice, because even if it's resisted, he still does a lot of damage.
Yeah.
But we'll see the adaptations for game two. Immediately, it's a Klefki and Arachnid lead, so at least we see that Arachnid bring. And immediately, Arch just switches out. Says none of that. Wow, pretty decent start for Pilza, actually, but goes for Power Split, and this is unfortunate, because I told him to do this stupid deck, with the idea with Power Split into Archaludon is Archaludon's obviously a special attacker, Arachnid's obviously a physical attacker, but Arachnid doesn't have super high of a physical attack stat. It's only 50 actually, base attack, and Archaludon's attack is really not that much lower, even if Arachnid's running a lot of attack. So if Arachnid loses out on maybe like 6 attack, whereas Archaludon loses out on like 70 special attack or something crazy, like a lot of its special attack. So Archaludon would be significantly weaker if he had stayed in and clicked an attack here. But with the switch out, it turns out to be a pretty poor play, because you're not really doing anything with Arachnid.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because I had no freaking idea what this move did. I honestly was like, what the hell does it? I was like Googling it on the side, if I'm being honest. Like I just had no frame of reference. So okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, honestly, I thought I thought this was one of those moves that's like decent in theory, but clearly it didn't work out very well. So immediately a switch from Clef to Clef, as Arachnid goes for Terra Electric here to be neutral into that.
So I will say, this is like where I don't love the Sandstorm. In knowing that Arachnid, I've already kind of lost track of this game a little bit, but knowing that Arachnid was coming out, forcing the Sandstorm, Arachnid, at least during mocks, I will say, like, Arachnid was a freaking menace in rain. Like,
Hmm.
I like the liquidations were just melting my team, even with resist, even with everything. So the Sandstorm feels a bit self-sabotagey.
Hmm.
I mean, maybe the logic is you just net positive because yeah, I literally have a Zoom roll plus Pelipper, and I've showed Arch, so I kind of get it. Like I get that it seems like Sandstorm hurts me more than it hurts him, but I really liked bringing this Arachnid into the rain. I really liked what it could have kind of opened up for Pilza, and now the Arachnid just feels a little hamstrung being stuck in the Sandstorm.
Well, the logic with Sandstorm was it was turn one, and it was to make Archaludon's Electroshot a 2-turn move, so you don't have to click Terra on Araquanid actually.
Yeah, makes sense.
So with that, you see Araquanid doesn't Terra. If that's Arch staying in, it's suddenly significantly weaker, locked into a move that's going to be a resisted move because Araquanid's going to Terra the next turn, and actually would have
Yeah,
worked out
yeah,
pretty well
yeah,
for Pilza if you had stayed in
yeah.
and clicked Electroshock, which seemed like a pretty obvious play, but the switch just worked out really well for you. And forces Klefki to switch out because remember it's choice band. So Liquidation does huge damage into Clefairy, and Pelipper just dies with Terra Blast. So that's actually
Yeah.
nice for Pilza, but loses so much health on the Clefairy, and is not even in a great spot here. So Arch comes out, but things still aren't looking that great. Follow Me, the Flash Cannon, which was probably going into that slot anyways, and Liquidation just kills.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, things are looking decent, and now they're not looking good at all. So Gambit and Klefki come out, going for a Protect Trick Room likely, but Liquidation's so strong that out of rain it can just OHKO. Is this Choice Band Azumarill?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense then. Because
No. The Azumarill? No. That was room service.
Oh yeah, it was. Damn, yeah, it's just really strong, I guess.
Yeah, this thing's a freaking menace.
Wow, hitting very
It is
hard.
max attack EV. Yeah, of course with the
And maybe it even got boosted by Racket with the power split, but with the body press, the Chopple Berry is really nice. The idea behind this was to go for the body press, the Chopple Berry for body press, and click the metal. Or sorry, whatever that move is. Not Metal Sound, but Metal Burst, which is you return attacks at, like physical or special at 1.5 times damage. So no matter what Arch clicks into Gambit, it'll be losing most of its health in return. That's not, but it's not what he went for here. But with the Brick Break, the double fighting move, he just kind of got destroyed that turn. So.
Yeah. So once again, it definitely felt like a set where Pilza was hiding some stuff. The fact that we don't see Superior, I do want to give credits to the prep because in the Pokepaste at least, what was it? Superior going Koba Berry, I thought was really interesting. Honestly, was bummed that I didn't get to match up to that. I suspect that will be different in playoffs, but
Maybe.
I think we had three different resist berries across Pilza's team.
Yeah.
The Chopple, and yeah, I really liked Pilza's prep. But yeah, it felt like a lot was getting kind of hidden for me, and I was like, it is what it is. Everybody's got all the footage and all the crap that I do at this point, so.
Yeah, I think I think this was a situation where Pilza, or I encouraged him at least to kind of just run more outlandish stuff, partially in the hopes that like some of this stuff is actually viable or stuff he could be running in the playoff matchup. So just revealing a lot of information is like kind of one strategy to like kind of show your hand and say like, hey, look at all this stuff I can run, and now you have to consider it in prep, which is like a lot of stuff to consider. And so that was partially like the idea of just like overwhelmed with information. Because he had kind of gone for more straightforward strategies a lot, the other strategy was to just kind of keep doing the same thing he's been doing for the most part, and hope that you'll assume that he continues doing that, and then he deviates in playoffs and catches you off guard that way. So there's kind of two ways to approach it. I think with some Pokemon, you can, like with the Chopple Berry on King Gambit, it feels like a very obvious item, so running it makes you assume that he'll want to run it next week. Whether or not he does run it is another story. So like stuff like that, I think kind of adds to the mind games.
Yeah, I was honestly really torn on. Yeah, I mean, now that this set is done, I'll be going against him in round one, and I was really conflicted. I mean, I told you this when we were kind of DMing about it. I was really conflicted on picking Pilza, because I feel like he definitely learns a lot more about me and what I want to do here. Like again, there's just so much footage on me now. He knows kind of what I want to go into him. I didn't really like hide a whole lot here. So in some ways, I don't feel great about picking him as my round one opponent, because I think he definitely learned more from this set than I learned about kind of him and what he's going to do, which just reinforces a lot what you're saying. So time will tell. Might have cooked myself. Might have might have thrown a little bit with my first round selection. But I am excited to run it back. It is kind of a unique situation to get to do a back to back like this. So I think it'll be. I'm really eager to kind of see how. And we're playing tomorrow, so we'll literally know how that plays out. So I guess this is kind of a good VOD review for me as well.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be a fun set watching you guys play again. It is kind of funny that you guys are playing back to back. So, but let's not delete that. Let's move on to Soup and Alberto. I think this was an interesting one coming into it because Alberto's team have been kind of hit or miss. Honestly, I think early in the season, back when I played in week 2, his team was not that great. He had pretty much no answer to my trick room. It was a very straightforward game plan of like snow and speed with Sneasler. But you see, he didn't even bring Sneasler this week because his trick room mode has developed so much. His team was like almost entirely physical attackers. His best special attacker was Ninetales, who's like 80-something special attack. And Talonflame could maybe be special attack, but it was like really bad on the special end. And then we see now Porygon and Slowking are great special options. He has Dusclops to help with the Trick Room mode as well. So a lot of potential for Alberto's team. I think his team is probably my candidate for most improved team, up there with like your team and like a few other teams. But I think Alberto's is probably the most improved team of the season. So coming into this matchup is pretty interesting. And Soup's team, I mean, he had a great matchup against me last week, but you can see this week he's leaving behind Thwacky, who's been kind of a staple of his team, and he's bringing both Granbull and Mismagius, which is crazy, leaving behind Thwacky and Ceruledge, who matches up really well into this team in my opinion, besides like Tauros Aqua, right? But
yeah. And on top of all of that, like what my favorite thing about this match, this was my match of the week. This was my most anticipated one because I believe it was the only one where it was a head-to-head. The winner locks in playoffs and the loser is eliminated. I think it was as straightforward as that, right? Or am I mistaken?
If I won and Wall won and Charcoal won, then Alberto could lose and make playoffs. But
okay, got it.
We've already seen that Wall lost.
Yeah, but I guess the best way to frame it then is both players were in control of their destiny going into this match. Either player winning, I believe, should have locked them into playoffs. So yeah, I was just really eager for this one. And yeah, just to your point, I mean, we'll talk about this a little bit as we go deeper into the set here. But not only has like Alberto's team been the most improved just across the roster, but I think the evolution of how he's using this Ninetales is really fascinating and something that I want to talk about as we get into this set. So yeah, love this matchup. This was my favorite match. I've probably watched this VOD like 3 or 4 times at this point.
Yeah, I think this will be an interesting one. So let's just get into it, honestly. Actually, at this point, I guess March 16th. At this point, I think the final. This was for the final play. Yeah, like it was fully determining playoffs. Yeah. So, and these are 2 great players, and only one of them can make playoffs. So that's kind of crazy. So immediately a switch out is kind of interesting because the Terra Ice adaptability is a big threat on Porygon. The problem is it's still weak to fighting, right? So Hawlucha can just click a big CC into that slot, and that's a problem. But Tauros is neutral, so interesting there, and gets the Intimidate. But it's just a Detect on Hawlucha and a Protect on both. So AV is huge here, and feels pretty straightforward.
This double protect is really rough for Soup because it essentially gives Alberto that free switch as well as a free Aurora Veil. Like this is Alberto just gets to set up his positioning, he gets the setup that he wants, and it quite literally costs him nothing with this double protect from Soup. So really kind of unfortunate turn 1. It's not a death sentence by any stretch of the imagination, but if I'm Alberto, knowing how high stakes of a match this is, getting a free switch, getting that free Aurora Veil, like a huge turn 1.
Yeah, and a good note from Alberto there that it is Terra Ghost on the Porygon. He would know because he made the team. But it's Terra Ghost, so there's a threat of CC going into a Terra Ghost. So it kind of makes Soup not hesitate a little bit, at least
Yeah.
immediately. Yeah. Also, Blizzard would do a lot of damage into Hawlucha.
Yep.
So
Yep.
something to consider. And also, I will note that no Sneasler in this matchup is kind of crazy because it's for all the marbles, and Sneasler's his S tier Pokemon, right? It's a 20-point Pokemon, so this is a mon that you would bring to every matchup pretty much, and I think he has brought to every matchup maybe, but leaves it this time, so means that all of Soup's prep for Sneasler is just for naught. So pretty interesting there.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
So we'll see kind of how Soup can try and claw his way back from this. Switching to Electabuzz makes some sense. I would have just died right away, but a freeze on the Electabuzz and takes a lot of damage there.
So unlucky. If I'm Soup and I'm in this high stakes match, I'm so tilted. Like Alberto gets this amazing turn 1, and then for turn 2, immediately his Electabuzz is frozen. Like this is a rough way to start a high stakes set for sure.
Oh yeah, and then you see Power Gem only do 35 to 9tails, which is pitiful.
Nothing tickled.
So because of AV, but still, it's probably not a. I mean, we can see that it's not a Life Orb or Specs on this Mismagius. So it's just even though it's super effective, there's no stab, there's no multipliers at all actually besides the super effective, and there's AV up, so really not doing that much damage. And now you I guess you're. Oh, the Encore from Ninetales is huge because it means that that Mismagius will be encored or can be encored into Protect the following turn. So it's pretty much forced to switch at this point, which is kind of crazy. And the double actually means it is a solid Protect there from Soup, but the problem with your opponent having Encore, I would know because I run Encore my Volbeat all the time, is that your opponent is forced to switch or click the same move over and over again, right? So it's just a lose-lose situation for them, and he knows that it's either Hawlucha or one of these other mons coming out, and so Freeze Dry is a very safe play into the slot. Freeze Dry Wave Crash even is solid, but like a Blizzard can kill Electabuzz and do a lot of damage. I mean, there's just so many ways this can go wrong for Soup at this point.
Yeah, and it goes back to why that freezing was so huge, because it gives Alberto the privilege to just essentially double up into this mon. You can kind of just ignore the Electabuzz slot for now, and sure, it's a bit unfortunate that like the Protect, on one hand, in most cases you would say, oh, they doubled up into a Protect, that's really bad, but this is kind of a unique case for Alberto where he gets a lot of information. Now he's threatening that slot. He doesn't have to worry about the Electabuzz. I mean, just getting that freeze opened up his game so much for what was already a really good position again from that turn 1. So again, like Alberto kind of having in some ways like a dream game here, at least for these first 3 turns.
For sure.
And really liking how he's taking advantage of it. I actually really liked that double up.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. You're banking on him not getting, well, I think it's maybe a 20% chance to unfreeze or 25%
like that.
Percent chance to unfreeze. So the odds are actually stacked against him. But either way, like if Electabuzz had theoretically woken up, theoretically clicked Electro Web, then you're in maybe in a decent position because you can redirect the Encore or something like that. But it's way safer to just target down those mages. So well played there, and it is a switch, which makes a lot of sense. Freeze Dry makes some sense here, and Freeze Dry Wave Crash is the play, which I said is a very safe play here. And there is actually a wake up on Electabuzz, and can switch into the Hawlucha for free while killing the Tauros. So that actually works out pretty nicely. Only problem is you're in the same spot as turn 1 where this Porygon can go for a Terra here. Terra goes to be immune to the CC, which would be pretty bad. So. And we'll see it does in fact go for it, but it is a Detect here. Double Protect actually to stall at that last turn of AV and Snow. So that's pretty nice. Well, I mean, even if it can only be either the Icy Rock or Light Clay. So one of these two at least will go down, which is nice.
I will say. Yeah, I was gonna say, I will say, despite it being, an unfortunate turn one and a little bit of an unlucky game for Soup, he is playing this really well. Good attention to detail here with the double
Hmm.
protect, stall it out. Yeah, like despite the fact that things are kind of working against Soup right now, I think he does a good job keeping a level head and still making the right plays, despite definitely being on the back foot in a lot of respects.
Yeah, for sure. I think he deserves a lot of credit here, and I mean Alberto waste that waste the Terra. It was a very reasonable Terra, right? But he does waste it. Probably didn't want to switch because of Porygon's potential to like do a lot of damage there, or sorry, to pick up the kill and frig there. But a switch into any one of these mons would have either been immune, 4 times resisted, or resisted a CC anyways. So maybe a switch would have been better. But it's hard to say. So. But yeah, it is immediately switch out into Glow King, which does make some sense because Ninetales wants to get up that snow again, and
Yep.
he will guaranteed now be able to do that at some point. As the CC comes out into the 4 times resistant Glow King, so really good switch there. Close Combat was already a little bit of a questionable play because it's only neutral, and again, the switch-ins for CC were terrible, but
Yeah.
really got punished for that. And now at -2 there, you can't help but wonder, or you can't help but think that Hawlucha must be switching the following turn because it's just has the threat of taking so much damage, or just dying to one hit, honestly. So
Yeah.
Electabuzz you assume to come out here, and now that Miss Mage is coming out, I think maybe it would have been interesting to see Electabuzz come out here, but then the problem is Hawlucha might switch into Mismagius, then a Shadow Ball or Terra Blast or something would just
Yep.
completely nuke it. So I think this is reasonable by Soup for sure. And at least Mismagius is threatening both these mons, but again, Porygon still threatens the Mismagius. So switch into Ninetales though actually opts not to attack either, which is kind of interesting. And not only does Hawlucha stay in, but he taunts the Glow King, which is pretty interesting. Shadow Ball comes out into what was the PZ, and Sludge Bomb comes out into the Hawlucha as well. Gets the poison too. Wow, just so much RNG on Alberto's side, and the taunt didn't even affect him.
Yeah, really unfortunate there. I mean, at this point, it's like between the freeze and the poison, it's like Soup's done a really great job navigating an unfortunate game, but at some point, you can only outmaneuver so much RNG, and
Yeah.
it feels like the walls are starting to close in on Soup now with that poison. That's
for
pretty
sure.
unfortunate.
Yeah, and with that full HP Porygon in the back versus these two mons especially.
Yeah,
not looking that great.
Not a lot of room to maneuver here.
And Ninetales should be in a pretty good spot to just go for AV. Actually, interesting. I think that Blizzard would have made sense too, but and then the targeting the Glow King is also interesting because, I mean, the Shadow Ball wouldn't have killed the actually would have killed the Ninetales, I think.
Because what have we revealed on the Ninetales so far? Is it just AV and Freeze Dry that we've seen?
And Encore. Yeah.
No, okay, we got Encore as well. Okay, yeah.
But Porygon's now in an interesting spot because Ninetales is the fastest thing on the field. If it does have Icy Wind, in fact, instead of Blizzard, or either way, I think he's in a problem because Mismagius or Electabuzz will die, right? Then Mismagius can only kill one of these two. If it's Blizzard, it's just like kind of over, right? Because Mismagius kills one of the two, and then either dies to Blizzard the following turn, or will die to Shadow Ball from Porygon. So it is just a freeze dry actually, revealing it's probably not the Blizzard on Ninetales, I would imagine. Yeah. And Shadow Ball crits, I don't think that matters because it's adaptability Terra Ghost. I mean that's really strong, so I imagine it doesn't matter. But just another thing in Alberto's favor, really. And then the knockoff comes out, which you get to learn the item, and it is with specs, yeah, it totally didn't matter. But yeah, learning the item is a little bit nice, I guess, for Soup as he does lose game 1.
Insult to injury, one last RNG roll with the crit on Shadow Ball, just absolutely insane. I love Sibin in the chat mentioning we have seen that Sludge Bomb trigger poison
so many times.
so many times. I mean, especially in the past 2 or 3 weeks, I think. It's a menace. So
against Sidewine, he got the poison, which actually was bad for him because it meant a free switch in for Bastia Legion.
Yep. 100% poison chance in Alberto's book. Love that. Rough game one for Soup, but honestly, like if I'm Soup in this position, I'm like, okay, you know what? That's probably as bad as things could have gone. So
Hmm.
in a weird way, I'm almost feeling good going into game two because I saw a lot from Alberto. I feel like Alberto gets a lot of positive RNG in his favor. So I'm like, okay, as long as like one or two of those rolls don't hit, I probably stand a pretty good chance in this one. So definitely not the doomsday for Soup going into game two here.
Yeah, for sure. I think I mean keeping it that close in a set that felt like it didn't go in your favor. I mean, truthfully, the RNG didn't matter that much, but there were some things that were really unfortunate. Like it in certain situations, or if Soup had certain things on his team, it could have mattered. So I think yeah, I think you should feel like in game two. If RNG actually is a little bit on your side instead of against you, then you might be able to win with a very similar strategy. So you're not sure if you want to switch it up, but he does with Gramble and Halucha into the Golurk Talonflame. So two mons that were actually benched last time.
Yep. Yeah,
As
interesting lead here.
as Gramble was also benched last time, and switches into Ndozo, the other mon that was benched. So already the turn one hasn't even started yet, really, and we've already seen all four benched mons game one. That's kind of crazy. As just a turn one detect again from Halucha, another one from Golurk, but the Talonflame immediately targets its down. It targets its down. I said targets its down twice, but targets it down. The second Intimidate from Gramble is kind of nice actually for the Golurk,
Yeah.
but it is special attacking Talonflame. Tauros comes out though, resets those Intimidates, and gets the Intimidate drop on Dondozo, and it reveals that it's not Water Veil. That's really unfortunate. I think Unaware makes like some sense. Taunt or Oblivious doesn't really make any sense on this thing, but Water Veil makes a lot of sense because it means you can't be burned. And Talonflame
Yeah.
with Will-O-Wisp, I thought was something that for sure was coming. So
this Dondoza having an answer to burn and intimidate and not getting either is I mean great intel for Alberto, but really unfortunate position for Soup here. So
yeah, because now -1 and burned, and Dose is probably doing nothing, right?
it's
And
nothing.
we see Wave
right?
Crash
Yeah,
into the
Wave crash
resisted.
into a resist. So it's like
really
just it kind of tickles the Tauros and
yeah, and Miss Magius comes out as Tailwind comes up. A lot of damage into that Gramble, who heals up a little bit of it back, and Thunderwave comes out to mitigate the Tailwind, but still. So we see a Dozo switch in as Talonflame protects, which is kind of nice because that means Dozo gets a free attack on the slot, but still doesn't really matter because it's just so weak already.
yeah.
And protection to the Wave Crash is pretty nice. And at this point, Miss Magius actually probably outspeeds Tauros, so that's kind of fire. But he switches out to get the Intimidate drop, which is valid. Lives actually the Air Splash and the full para there. So, and Wave Crash is a lot despite the burn. So suddenly Soup's feeling like he's not in as bad of a situation as before, though Alberto still probably has the upper hand in this.
Yeah, it really kind of depends on how this paralysis is going to play out a little bit. But I think Soup's done a pretty solid job stabilizing from what was, again, frankly, kind of a rough start, especially with the Dondoza just being nerfed so heavily in those first couple of turns.
Yeah. And we see a protect from Talonflame, which makes some sense. Wave Crash comes out here, and probably a Wave Crash and a Talonflame. Yeah. And so Tailwind does expire, though, which is kind of nice. But Talonflame is probably the fastest thing in the field, so he can probably set up another, and he does. A full power from Tauros is nice.
Two paras, yeah.
Because
so the RNG is switching to
Magius
Soup.
is able to... Miss Magius, which is slower than the Tauros, is able to pick up the kill. Probably modest on the Miss Magius. And actually, both go down for Alberto, though he does have two mons now, Golurk and Porygon, with Tailwind up, versus a burned Dondozo. Miss Magius at full HP, sure, but you've already revealed that Halucha's in the back, so
Yeah.
you already know his three mons, and one of them's at half health and burned, so you feel like you're actually in a decent situation, especially because Porygon now outspeeds Miss Magius, and with Terrago Shadow Ball or Golurk too, like this thing is kind of cooked.
That's what I was going to say. With Porygon having that Ghost Terra, you're not feeling great about the Halucha in your backline here. So this is kind of a tough spot. You feel like you're on a timer if you're Soup right now, right? Because it's like once you lose what you have right now, that backline's not gonna bail you out.
And And despite this RNG, I mean, Alberto feels like he's in a really good spot. So double protect here, just solid turn of Tailwind, and kind of scout. Makes some sense here. It is just Shadow Ball and Poltergeist, which is interesting, but no Terra here. And now a Terra on this side, but it doesn't matter because Terra Ghost means you're still weak to Ghost. Shadow Ball means you just die right away, and then Polter comes out into the Dozo, who's room service actually, but dies to its own recoil, and Halucha comes out, but there's one turn to Tailwind left, so even if he detects, which he does, he is up against 2 Ghost types, and so really just not in a good situation at all. He only has close combat, I guess.
Yeah, he's got nothing. Yeah, I mean, I think he had like Brick Break or something else I saw on the Poke Paste, but
Brick Break
it's
for
just
Aurora Veil.
Yeah, exactly. But double fighting moves into double Ghost, it's not gonna. Yeah, it's a rough one, and it's rough because honestly, Soup was so great all season. I think this is like a really good player. It's unfortunate that, like, I mean, Alberto played this great, not taking anything away from Alberto, but it's tough with how high stakes this set was and how good Soup has been all season, how good I think his team was. It's a bit unfortunate that that was just a really, really tough set, and I think despite the fact that it was tough, especially in that game 1, really impressed with how he navigated it and kind of kept a level head, kept good spirits in the chat as well, like really good sportsmanship from coming out from Soup. So like definitely a tough way to go out. One thing that I wanted to touch on, you kind of literally the longest like note that I wrote on this game that I was really interested in talking about, you mentioned at the top, which was just kind of Alberto's the growth and the improvement of Alberto's team. Something that I thought was really fascinating. Like I said, I kind of fixated on this match a little bit this past week. So I was kind of looking at the Ninetales because I was also too surprised that we didn't see the Blizzard. And one thing that was like just fascinating about Alberto's growth throughout the season and how he adapted was in the first half of the season, when I think Alberto was maybe perceived as like a slightly weaker opponent. He didn't have the strongest first half of the season, in my opinion, weeks 1 through 4. He was going really offensively heavy with the Ninetales. Week 2 against you, I think he brought Moonblast and Blizzard on this thing, and he had brought Blizzard again in week 4, I want to say. And in the second half of the season, he's been pretty comfortably running this more supportive set where he really just has like Freeze Dry, I think maybe like Icy Wind, but like, again, just like a much support heavy. And I really like this adaptation from him. Not real like, hey, like at the end of the day, as a special attacker, like not the most powerful Mon, don't try to go all in on offense. Use what it's strong at. And I thought that was just like a great midseason adaptation by Alberto. So I really wanted to give him his flowers for that, because I think just really smart ream, getting more comfortable with your team, and it's really paid off, because I think he's gone from someone who you would perceive as again, weeks 1 through 4, I was like, okay, he's a really solid middle of the pack player. Now, like in the second half, weeks 5 through 8, I say this is like a really strong dark horse candidate. Like this guy can take games off anybody. And I think maybe the most fascinating part of his development is definitely how he's reimagined the Ninetales role in this team. So again, wanted to just give him his flowers. I thought that was really cool.
Well, also, I think the reimagining the Ninetales, but also like we felt like he was forcing bad Sneasler sets sometimes, where he didn't even bring it this fast week. So just because it's a good Mon doesn't mean it's good in the matchup, and doesn't mean you have to bring it. Or even if you do bring it, doesn't mean you have to use it, right? So not bringing it at all worked out very well here. He won 2-0 pretty convincingly, right? We saw, despite a little bit of a bad RNG game 2. And I think his pickups were great. Dusclops was good for him. I think Slowking has showed his worth for sure. And Porygon, by far, just having a really strong special attacker like that has made things so different for him. Because, again, first half of the season, I played in week 2. I ran max Phys Def on everything. I didn't run HP or Spit F on pretty much anything, because he had maybe 2 special attackers who weren't very strong, and Ninetales had to be more offensive because otherwise he had no special attacking power. And so having Porygon has really allowed him to do that and hit hard more. And as you said about Soup, I think he definitely deserves credit. Something I maintained all season was that he was better than his record suggested, and he kind of caught up to that point where he like became like the 4th or 5th team in standings at one point, and then 2 unfortunate losses to me and Alberto the last 2 weeks, but still well fought in both of them. And I think one note I had throughout the majority of the season was he would appear to be losing a set, or like he would get kind of cooked game 1, then games 2 and 3 or he would always take it to game 3 because he would just make such a comeback, and even if he didn't make it to game 3, he would have such a turnaround in the last 2 games that it was kind of ridiculous. Like his adaptability was incredible, and but it wasn't a match for Porygon's adaptability here. So
yeah, yep.
And so moving to the final set, which is me versus Spamdolf. Coming into this match, it was the last played match. We can see this match was played a few days after most of the other ones, and I already knew that I was locked into the 3 seed, which is kind of nice for me because it means that I will have my choice of opponent, namely that I don't have to play Wah round 1, because he was someone I wanted to avoid at all costs, because of his excellent prep, and I knew that by not being the 4 seed or lower, I guaranteed wouldn't have to play him, and that is quite nice. But I still wanted to win this week, and I had a little bit of an ulterior motivation of trying to get Porygon to the MVP. He only needed 4 kills.
A little bit of an ulterior motivation, just a little bit. Downplay it as much as you can.
Well, I mean, I wanted to win at all costs. I think that was my ultimate goal for the week. I mean, against this coughing Tinkaton amalgamation we can see here, like Tinkaton with
that was kind of cracking me up. Yeah, it kind of looks like coughing.
Up against that, I mean, it is and just no Rotom Wash, but up against this team, it is a little bit tough to deal with because Illumise is like a good counter to my Volbeat potentially. If he chooses to be max speed taunt, that's a problem for me. So I was running Mental Herb this week, and running a little bit of speed investment on kind of a lot of things. Ran some wacky sets overall, but I thought that Terra Ground Porygon was a really good offensive threat here. Only problem is the Rotom Wash, but it was good into Sojourner. And then 3 Mons he did bring, which was Incineroar, Tinkaton, and Coughing. Really, really nice. And you can see that it is Terra Steel on the Tinkaton, so he can't even Terra out of that weakness. And it means that Ursaluna is good here too. Wanted to try out the Calm Mind set on Ursaluna. I don't think I ran Calm Mind Leftovers. Maybe I did. But I wanted to try Calm Mind Ursaluna because it's something that I hadn't brought at all in prior weeks. Sinistcha I hadn't brought in a little bit, and he's a great Mon, one of the best Mons on my team, but he hasn't felt like it, and so I wanted to try him out again before playoffs so I could build my confidence with it again. Blaziken, another Mon I brought the past 2 weeks who hasn't felt very good, so who just felt okay, but I wanted to build my confidence in him. And my Samurott set was very similar to my set from week 1, which didn't work out super well just because I was in like a 1v4 at the time of using it, but it was a Focus Energy Aqua Cutter / Night Slash set, meaning I would be able to run whatever item I want. I would still have 100% crit chance after clicking 1 Focus Energy, which is really, really nice if you can get it to work. So I think I think that this is a matchup just for me to kind of test the waters for playoffs. Spam just taking over for a player who dropped, so he's just trying to get 1 win or at least hold his own against me. But this was pretty much.
It was cool getting kind of like an expedition match too, just between the 2 guys who are running the show, right? I don't know, this felt like a very fitting way to end week 8. Like I was really kind of delighted by the fact that we got to watch this. I know there were some like issues going into the set with like DCs and such, but this was like a really delightful way to kind of end the season.
I will say, I mean, I have home field advantage because I'm playing VGC and he's a singles player, and I've been using this team all season. He took over this team from someone else, so I have like a huge advantage coming into this match over him. Yeah. But still, it is kind of fun that the 2 people running ODL.
Yeah, which is why I thought I was like, okay, so his strategy this week is just going to be to funnel as many kills into Porygon. I had a bias towards that as we'll get into that with the MVP talks later, but yeah, pretty excited for this set.
Yeah, we did have a little, as you mentioned, we did have a little bit of connection issues, but because of that, we just decided to replay. It was game 1 had the issues where he was disconnecting a lot, so we just decided to replay it, and it was fine. Let's get into it. we can see he goes Tinkaton instant immediately, so double fake out pressure, and I go Sinistra Volbeat. So I'm actually not running the Covert Cloak on Volbeat. I'm running it on Samurott this week, but Sinistra's obviously immune.
Yep.
I also changed Sinistra from Heatproof to Hospitality, so Flare Blitz is a definite threat or knockoff into Sinistra. But with that being said, I feel pretty comfortable just clicking Trick Room here. Did this lead because I do that sometimes where I want to like threaten Tailwind and Trick Room on turn 1. So that's what I go for. I'll let him fake out because it doesn't really do that much for me. I figure if he fakes out my my Volbeat with either one of his Mons, it means he can't kill Sinistra because he has to double it to kill it. Or he could like Flare Blitz into Volbeat, and even then that's fine because I get a free switch into one of my Trick Room Sweepers. So I kind of let him get faked out here. He knocks off my Citrus Berry, but I get Trick Room up. So, and I think actually what I went for turn 1 was Encore into his fake out. If he like went for fake out expecting a switch on Senate, I don't know exactly why I did it. I just figured Volbeat wasn't going to move anyways. So I went for Encore to fake out on Tinkaton. And so I just go for it again, turn 2, hoping he doesn't switch out, which he doesn't, meaning Tinkaton is now useless, effectively. And Sinistra is in a position where he can, we'll see what I went for. I went for Shadow Ball, actually, just expecting it to do a little bit more damage than that, but also figuring if I die here, I get a free switch in, and that was kind of the same idea turn 1. But he goes out into Coughing, which is something that I forget. Like, I just forget that my abilities are turned off like 90% of this game, but it's okay. The fake out fails, and now I get a free switch into Ursaluna because Coughing and Tinkaton, which has to switch, just no threat into this Mon, which is really nice. Instant comes out here. Then he protects on Coughing again, completely fine by me. But I'm going for Taunt, which again I think will move first because I'm forgetting that his Prankster is disabled here. So
right.
But at this point, I switch into Porygon because it feels like a pretty safe switch in. I doubt he'll click Knockoff into my Volbeat. I think if he clicks anything, it'll be Flare Blitz, which I have Eviolite still, so I should tank that. So I feel like I'm in a pretty good situation here. Ursaluna has a lot of power here, so Fake Out is another potential option into Ursaluna. But either way, I get a very free switch here. And I can go for Earth Power straight up, which is really nice. He taunts my Blood Moon, which is fine. Also reveals that he's not min speed Coughing for whatever reason, because Blood Moon moves first. If I had gone for Calm Mind that turn and he was min speed, then it would have been bad for me. But I think maybe he expected a switch on a Mon that's a Trick Room Sweeper in Trick Room, so I really don't get the taunt there, but it's fine. We'll find a way to get him Field of Punishment in his 1 week. I'm kidding. Kidding. But yeah, Flare Blitz comes out and you see it really doesn't do that much damage, so that's fine by me. And here, I figure Porygon can just go for Terra Blast and kill Instant, but I'm like, I don't know about that. So as he switches out both Mons and switches the Instant into Rotom, I'm like, he could be AV Instant, right? Theoretically, even though he already revealed Parting Shot and already ate his Citrus Berry. So he could be AV Instant, or maybe just like Max Special Defense Instant. So maybe he lives my normal Terra Blast. So I'm going to Terra Ground Terra Blast into the Rotom. And so that does nothing as Trick Room expires. And now I'm 2 ground types in front of a water type with Hydro Pump. So I'm in a really bad spot here if I stay in with both. So it's pretty obvious that I should switch out with both, right? But instead, I get greedy, and I stay in with both. And I let him knock off my my Eviolite, but he misses Hydro Pump. So I just get so lucky.
Yeah, Spam. He really set himself up nicely with that turn 5. Like I absolutely love the play from him, and yeah, you you absolutely greeted a little bit, but never punished. Hydro Pump misses, so yeah, that's kind of a heartbreaker because I really do think that could have been a key turning point in the matchup if that hits. I don't think by any means it means you're out of the match. Like it's still long game to be played here. But that would have been a pretty significant swing, and missing that, I feel like now Spam's kind of slightly on the back foot now. Still has plenty of room to maneuver, but yeah, pretty unfortunate miss.
Well, you'll see what I go for here, which is the Terror Blast on the Porygon and the Blood Moon here into the Rotom. So all of a sudden,
Yeah.
even though Fake Out Pressure is active, I'm in a really good spot. So that turned. I just got so lucky. I got bailed out.
Yeah,
there.
I was pouring one out for Spam in the chat there. That was rough to watch live.
So at this point I realized, okay, I should switch out on both here, like I did before. Unfortunately, I think that I forget speed tiers and assume that Ursaluna will switch out first, so I can heal up Porygon instead of healing up my almost full HP Volbeat. But it is what it is. I lose half my health, and then a parting shot actually does pretty much nothing for me. So that's fine by me.
Yeah.
And here, I'm in a little bit of a weird spot because Sinistra maybe dies to Hydro Pump, maybe, but at the same time, I can, even if he dies, that's fine by me because I can get like a free switch into someone. Like it's not like the end of the world, right? I also have Tailwind for speed control, so I can Tailwind to maybe make Porygon faster than Rotom, though that's maybe unlikely. I feel like I'm fine just letting Sinistra click Trick Room here, and I click Taunt into the Coughing. Hydro Pump goes out into the Volbeat, which works out for me. Also, he was going to taunt my Sinistra, but he can't use, or maybe my Volbeat, but he can't use Taunt after the taunt, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
And then I'm able to get a free Trick Room, so I'm now in a really good situation, having two good Trick Room Mons in the back.
Yeah.
He's forced to struggle because he's 4 status moves there. Good Protect by him. I don't actually switch out, which would have really punished the Protect. But instead, I go for Machagacha into the Rotom, and Coughing does pitiful damage into the Coughing. And then I go for Encore there, again forgetting that I'm not Prankster because Coughing's on the field, right? So just yet another misplay by me. But Porygon comes out here, which feels safe because I doubt he goes for Hydro Pump into the Sinistra slot. So he struggles again. He goes for Thunderbolt into the Volbeat slot, which is fine by me because I get another free switch out. And now Sinistra comes back in. The reason I go Sinistra instead of Ursaluna is to heal up Porygon with Hospitality.
Yeah.
Yet again, there's like the 3rd or 4th time forgetting that neutralizing gas is on the field. So
Yeah.
just another mistake by me, but shouldn't really matter that much because Machagacha is also an option. So I can.
It's just so funny because you play. If I remember, you played into Sibin's neutralizing gas so well in the week that y'all played it.
Yeah.
So it's just funny. It's like it's something about Coughing being smaller or something is just throwing you off your game.
Yeah, he takes up less space in this. Yeah, but it was a little unfortunate. In this situation here, I go for Rage Powder Recover because I feel like it's a pretty safe play. I think it's maybe a roll to kill here, but it doesn't matter because he misses yet again, which it shows the kind of value of going for Rage Powder here, because I wouldn't have been able to kill Rotom with a Machagacha. So I'm now in an even better situation. Paints was actually kind of nice tech there, but it doesn't matter because it will die either way. And I get some health back from the Hospitality, which suddenly procs. And actually, wait, Machagacha would have killed, so I guess that would have been better than just going for Rage Powder. But it is what it is, because it works out really well for me. Now I'm in a situation where it's Incin versus these two, and I can just switch here to tank the Flare Blitz just to save the differential slightly, and let Porygon pick up the kill here.
Yep. Gotta feed the Porygon. Very nice.
So at this point, I think Porygon has gotten 3 kills, right? Or 4 kills? I think 3 kills?
3.
Because maybe there was one from the No, maybe you got all 4 kills.
No, the matcha.
No, Matcha got the 1 kill. Yeah, so
yeah, we got
I'm at 3 kills here, so I just need 1 kill. I really don't need to force Porygon to get any kills game 2 because he's in a really good spot in terms of kills already. And so coming into this last game, he leads the same. I lead something slightly different because I want to threaten or have the potential to go for focus energy here. And looking at it, I totally expect fake out instant into the Samurott and maybe the Volbeat, but probably the Samurott, and just play rough to just kill Samurott instantly. But
Yeah.
I'm Terra Poison. So I think it's a very, very safe play to go for Terra Poison here. I'm Covert Cloak, so I can go for Focus Energy safely and go for Thunder Wave on Volbeat, I believe, because I can't Encore the instant into Fake Out because he's a Dark type, right, immune to Prankster. And going for Tailwind here is actually not super valuable because I'm already faster than both of his Mons, probably. With a Thunder Wave, I'm definitely faster than both of his Mons. So here I just go for this play. It is exactly how I described. I go for Focus Energy, which works out great because he goes for Play Rough, and he went for like exactly what I thought he would go for, which works out so well. And I'm like, it makes me really happy to see that. I somewhat expect to switch here, but I just go for Taunt because I don't know what Tinkaton wants to go for, but Play Rough is fine because it doesn't do that much damage. And I can go for Aqua Cutter here, which ignores my -1, and it's stab guaranteed crit now, so I know it'll OHKO Incin, which is really nice. And he goes for knockoff into Volbeat, which is fine, gets rid of the Mental Herb, which is whatever, because he reveals that he doesn't, actually, I don't think he technically reveals that he doesn't have Illumise in the back yet, but he doesn't send out Illumise, so I don't have to worry about getting taunted, really. Coughing isn't on the field yet, but I could taunt Coughing before he can taunt me, so now in a situation where Samurott is looking pretty good. I go for Tailwind here because at this point I do need that extra speed on Rotom, potentially, if he's max speed. But I go for Aqua Cutter for just huge damage into Tinkaton. He Wisps me, which is a little annoying, but he gets full Parad, so it kind of balances out. And I was anticipating Will-O-Wisp here on either the instant or the Rotom Wash, so I actually ran Facade on my Samurott, which is pretty funny. I Encore him into Will-O-Wisp, wasting his attack. But I pick up the kill there and force him to keep Will-O-Wisping. It's now in a situation where it's Pult and a useless Rotom Wash, but I have Facade, so I can like do some nice things with that.
I totally understand the logic behind the Will-O-Wisp there, but it's really unfortunate. I mean, you've already showed Encore. It's a pretty obvious Encore angle, right? Mm-hmm. And the fact that he's about to be kind of forced into his back line, it was just really risky to go for the Will-O-Wisp over just kind of some pure offense. So pretty unfortunate game state here in the end game for Spam.
And we see Protect on Dragapult, which I can just Encore him into as well. Right. I go for Facade here. One funny thing is that moves are a 50-50 crit at +2. The reason Aqua Cutter and Night Slash are 100% because they also add +1 to that crit ratio, making it +3 100% of the time crits. But Facade is not like that, so it's a 50-50 to do a lot of damage because of the crit boost and ignoring my attack drop, or I still have the attack drop and I'm not critting, which is doing not a lot of damage, and that's what I do here. So I was like, that did way less damage than I thought, but that's just because it wasn't a crit. So I got a little unlucky there, but it shouldn't matter because this game should be over. And so at this point, I can very comfortably go for the Encore into the Protect there, but he hits the double Protect. I once again actually don't get the crit, but at this point it's pretty much over. We can pretty comfortably speed it up to fast here. Here it's just managing my Encore turns. He goes for Protect there. I was going to Encore the Pult, but I figured it was more valuable to Encore the Rotom because the Rotom could be like doing more damage, whereas Pult, if he has a Draco Meteor, once he clicks that once, he like can't really do that much damage anymore. So he goes for Shadow Ball actually, but he picks up the kill on me. It means that I get a free switch into Porygon though, which is nice. And I can Encore him into Protect again, while Draco does like half, which is fine by me because I can set up Trick Room now. The reason I went for Trick Room here is because I wanted to see how much damage he would do, and now I can recover ahead of time. And you see Draco did a lot of damage with Life Orb, but he's now -2 and taking Life Orb chip, so I can recover back that damage, and he won't be able to deal the same amount of damage, barring a crit. So he's forced to keep protecting. I messed up my turn there, I guess. I could have taunted the Pult, but I didn't want to do that, so I basically just wasted that turn on full beat, recover back my HP, and at this point it's very much a game over situation, right?
Yeah, it's more just playing with your food than anything at this point, because there's not a whole lot. Even spam in the chat here is bro, just end it.
this is the optimal play. I think this isn't going for MVP. This is just straight up optimal.
Yeah.
Because you
100%.
you force Rotom to struggle, right, pretty much. And I target down the Pult. His Encore ends, but I can just do it again, so he's forced to struggle. I kill the Dragapult even if I go into Protect once, and now I can very easily just heal back up my Porygon and kill. Switching into Sinistra wouldn't have helped speed things up at all, really, but now doing it, I guess, does. So, yeah. I set up Trick Room again, by the way, just so that I will outspeed, because I know that Encore will end here. So, yeah.
Nice.
So that's one of many examples where so long as I manage my endgames well, manage my Encores and my taunts and whatever, if I manage them well, it's pretty much impossible for me to lose. And so it became a 14-turn game when it didn't need to be, but I played that way to guarantee a safe endgame, and it's nice having some more practice with that, because it's something I had to do a lot in my week 6 matchup versus Oedipus, and something that in playoffs, if I get into an endgame where it's a really tight endgame, if I manage my Encore turns correctly on both Pokemon, which Encore only lasts 3 turns, so it's you have to manage them well. If I can get more practice with that, it means that I won't slip up in guaranteed endgames, and it's fine to draw them out a little if it means a guaranteed win instead of giving a chance for comeback. So
yeah, makes sense. Super interesting. Yeah, just another shout out for Spam stepping in the final week, giving us a pretty good match here, and obviously not easy stepping into a week 8 with a brand new team going against the 2-time defending champion. So appreciate Spam hopping in this set. It was pretty interesting to watch.
Yeah, it made it significantly better for everyone. So appreciate that. And with that being said, let's take a look at our standings going into playoffs. So we can see that we have Juvie as the 1 seed, Cybon as the 2 seed, me as the 3 seed, and Nick as the 4 seed. So we will get to choose our opponents in that order. And then the 4 teams, which is crazy to say, but Alberto, Wa, Saline, and Pilza are the 4 remaining playoffs teams. So actually every team with a 4-4 record made playoffs, which is something we didn't know would happen earlier in the season. But there are, as you can see, 3-5 teams, all narrowly missing out on playoffs. And then 2 teams towards the bottom there, but still very, very balanced and close season. It was incredible to see. We ended up with 4 teams with winning records, but it was very close. Yeah, just a really good and balanced season overall. I was really happy with how it turned out. I think the benefits of doing the tier-based and point-based system that we use, and by the way we set it up, lended itself to have more balanced teams. But I could not have expected it to work this well. And just looking at the standings, you can see how close it really was. Even 1 week before, 2 weeks before, it was just still anybody's game. So really, really nice to see that. And
yeah, it was a really good season. The one thing that catches my eye in the standings is Wa being the 6th seed. We were talking about how you want to avoid Wa at all costs. He's a really good player. I honestly, I thought it was almost a foregone conclusion that he was going to end up in that 4th slot. It felt like that weeks probably 5 through 7 when he was just kind of tearing through the league a little bit. Mm-hmm. So him being in the 6th seed, I haven't thought about it too much, but it's kind of interesting just because we reseed in the 2nd round, and Yeah, well, it was like the kind of scary. I mean, frankly, everybody who's kind of in the bottom four right now, I think like I don't think there's any foregone conclusion in this first round of
Mhm.
playoffs. But yeah, Wah specifically being in that sixth lead spot, it's a little scary. Definitely a player who I would say is like significantly better than the seeding suggests.
And with the first matchup of Nick versus Watt, by the way, for the matchups, for those
Oh
who don't
yeah,
know, is Juvie versus Pilza, Sabon versus Alberto, me versus Saline, and Nick versus Wah. And I think that Nick versus Wah one's going to be super close in anyone's game. Nick 4-0 since taking over. Wah is 4-2 since taking over. But very, very good players, both of them. So it's pretty interesting to say. And before we get too in the weeds on this, I want to shout out Charcoal for reminding me to do Fields of Punishment in Elysium again.
Mm.
Something that I forgot to do one other week before, but let's let's do that real quick.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, something that I've forgotten before. I'm just a really good host. But I think Salient played a solid game, but there were a few big misplays on Wall's part that I think cost him the game more so. I think that Nick is a real contender for Elysium, and Cybon's a real contender for Field. Just like not running overheat on Rotom is kind of crazy. I think you saw actually. Wow, he clicked. He had 4 unique moves clicked throughout the entirety of game 2, but he just got like read a lot throughout the set. And felt like he didn't have a clear goal of like what he wanted to accomplish a lot of the time, which is unlike his team. So I think
the only other person that I would say stuck out to me as a Field of Punishment candidate, it was just a moment that I remembered in their matchup, was with the Charcoal Evan Rick game. I gotta say, Rick doing, I think that was the game, right? He did the Aqua Jet in Psychic Terrain, so that wasn't great. And I similar to the Sib and Nick matchup, I feel like in Charcoal Rick, Charcoal just had a lot of really good reads on Rick. It never really felt like Rick was able to get his footing. And yeah, there you go with the Aqua Jet and Psychic Terrain. So I mean, honestly, this was like a pretty tight week. Like I think everybody played pretty damn well. They showed up with their A game for week 8. But yeah, I would say these are the two that stuck out to me as like probably the most unfortunate misplays that got punished, and just teams that it felt like they just got read in their matchups pretty significantly.
Actually, at this point, Aqua Jet didn't matter because he got outsped anyways and died. So going for Aqua Jet or going for Wave Crash wouldn't have changed anything.
That's a really good point.
But yeah, Charcoal is definitely a strong contender for Elysium, I will say. I think Pills is like maybe a contender for Fields, but it was interesting tech that just like kind of didn't work out based on how it was played. I think Soup and Alberto both had solid games for sure, and so I wouldn't consider them options really, and definitely not Spammerai. I don't think either of us deserved it at all. Definitely not me, but I will probably lean towards Cybon for Fields of Punishment just because they're like this turn 1 he just gets completely boomed, right? Like with the fake tears armor cannon thing, like just immediately loses one of his best Pokemon, even his best Pokemon, in exchange for like no damage. And then from there on out, like he just gets completely red on this play, which is just horrible for him because again he can't really do much at all besides burn Rhyperior, which doesn't even do that much. And exchange loses most of his health. At this point, it's just like very much over. There's kind of nothing he can do for Terra Grass Rhyperior, which is something Nick had brought in previous weeks. So it's a little unfortunate that he didn't have the prep for that. And then game 2 is the real bad one, where like on this turn, like maybe Overheat's not a great play, but like here after the Terra Grass, like the Thunderbolt is bad, but like the Overheat would have been really good there. Overheat would be really good here and here and here and here. And so like the no Overheat was just like a really unfortunate part of prep. And then because Field of Punishment and Elysium are considered or prep and play is considered for them because of the prep of no Overheat, and because he didn't bring Bask either this week, which is interesting, but I think it wasn't that he had bad prep. It's just forgetting the overheat was a major thing, and it felt like his prep it wasn't even really been able to be shown because he kind of got crushed pretty quickly. And the no answer for Terrorgrass Rhyperior, which is something that we saw in previous weeks, that was a big problem for me. Mammo was his only answer, but even then it didn't really have a chance to do anything.
Poor Sibin, man. He loses one game all season.
Yeah.
Immediately relegated to the Fields of Punishment. Goes to show.
It does feel bad, but
yeah, I think it's fair. I didn't realize the getting outsped, so Aquajet not mattering. I was seeing that as just like a misplay oversight on Rick's part, but yeah, it seems like actually it just didn't even matter at all. So,
but speaking of this matchup, I think Charcoal is actually my front runner for Elysium this week. I think Nick played great. Don't get me wrong, but I think. Although he did have a few really good reads and a few really good moments, overall it was more like an unpreparedness on Cybon's part generally. And he didn't do anything extraordinary with his prep. I think the turn 1 read this game was amazing. The read on the Clefable switch was amazing, but I think Charcoal's, not only his prep was just incredible, but his just insane offense. I mean, he effectively won in 8 turns total for the set. I think he did, like, this game did drag on a little, but it was already over pretty much. And so like going for the weakness policy on this thing and having the brains to not just like click Trick Room here and to pick up the kill on the immediate threat of Vastia Legion. Getting rid of that is really nice. Here, you it's fine if Grimmsnarl goes down. You acknowledge that because once he gets up light screen, you kind of want a free switch in. You get the free kill on the Kilowatt Troll as well, which was a big threat into Executor, but he teared out of that problem. Here, the follow me redirection was great. I don't know. He didn't do anything super crazy in his play, but he just played so well throughout, and his prep was so good that he just needed to play solidly. He didn't need to go for like the craziest plays because his prep was really good this week.
Yeah, I think Charcoal's like a clear front runner for this. I mean, this was I don't even think it's an overstatement to say this was the best week that we've seen all season from Charcoal.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, I can't believe you're not tossing my name out there for clicking Muddy Water for Elysium, but if it can't be me, then
I mean, like right where was it? We saw like just pure skill and he clicked Muddy Water, and then like, wait, you'll never guess what he goes for this turn.
The Prodigy son right here.
But this turn you'll never guess what he goes for. No, but what will Kingdra go for?
If this isn't Elysium, I don't know what is.
Yeah, just click buttons. But yeah, that's a potential reason why Pilza might be a solid candidate for Field of Punishment. And I think maybe without you can do multiple Fields of Punishments, but I think Cybon was kind of a clear Field of Punishment over him. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't get to Pilza because I think from the prep perspective, like I get why he did not show up for this matchup. If I were in his shoes, I play it very similarly where I'm not showing my hand. I'm not going to go try hard. Yeah. So I wouldn't give him Field of Punishment because I'm like thinking more like beyond the week 8. I think his prep actually is really smart here. Don't over execute if you don't need to. So I think it's totally fine how Pilza played it. He tried some stuff out. It didn't work, but it wasn't gross misplays. It was him just kind of experimenting more than anything.
And so now with that, we can actually move back. We already kind of looked at our standings, but here they are again. I think these playoff matchups will be interesting. Again, it is Juvie versus Pilza, Cybon versus Alberto, me versus Saline, and Nick versus Wah. I think all of them are pretty interesting matchups. I think you and Cybon are generally pretty heavy favorites into Pilza and Alberto. I would consider myself a slight favorite into Saline, though he did beat me week 1, I will say. So it's definitely like a very, very slight difference. But I think Nick and Wah, they could play the game 20 times and it might go 20 different ways. I think I think one might win 10 times, and then might win the other 10. So it's just like a very, very close matchup, and it's going to come down a lot to like their prep and play, more so than like other matches.
It's a coin flip, and the best part of round one, honestly, and I say this with all the love and respect in my heart, but the best part about this round one is that Nick and Wah can't both make it out, because they are two huge threats, and it's quite fortunate that from every other player's perspective, that both of these guys aren't going to be able to make it to round two. But yeah, it's going to be a coin flip. It's going to be a brutal matchup. I would be pretty shocked if it was a 2-0. Like I'm banking on a 3-game set for that one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's going to be what I'm looking forward to all week. I don't know if they've scheduled it yet, but I like that one's one I've got to make sure I watch live. Yeah, exactly. Like I'm not missing that game for sure. And it's funny. Obviously Sibben's my boy and everything, but I will say that I do think Alberto's like pretty scary. Like when I was thinking about when I was thinking about my picks, like the whole I really didn't want to pick Pilza. I was like I showed him so much, but like I said, Saline was by far the worst week of prep for me, and I kind of did want to force you into him with that week 1 loss. I was like, all right, let's try to get Blizzard there. But I was really trying to convince myself to pick Alberto solely because I just didn't want to have to back-to-back Pilza with everything he's seen from me now. But honestly, I was just afraid of Alberto. Like I just didn't want to deal with him. So I do think that Sibben Alberto matchup is again, Sibben's my boy, but Alberto's scary. And if there was upset potential in the bottom of the bracket here, I'm definitely looking towards Alberto. I'll be very curious to see what he brings to the match. I think his prep has massively improved, and his comfortability, he mentioned this in the chat, with his roster has improved dramatically in the second half of the season. So win or loss from Alberto, I'm expecting that matchup to be a really entertaining one as well.
Well, and there is the case if you win and I win and Nick wins, then you're playing Alberto round 2, right?
Yeah.
Now, if Wah wins, then you're playing him and I'm playing Alberto, which is unfortunate. But that being said, you are obviously a rain team. He's a snow team, so I think it makes a lot of sense for you to not want to even play the weather war, and to fight Pilza instead, who's someone you just beat the prior week. I think that does make sense, though. He does have some tech up his sleeve, hopefully. I am not looking forward to playing Saline, though actually I kind of am, because I think that I could have won that week 1 game if I had just kind of played better, and so I think having that chance for redemption will hopefully build my confidence if I'm able to win it for future rounds. Because assuming the top 4 seeds win, I don't know if that will happen. It very plausibly could not, but assuming the top 3 seeds win, I'm playing Saibon, right? And if not, then I'm playing Nick or I guess Alberto. I'm playing one of these teams, pretty much guaranteed. And I've already played Nick when it was SMB, but he's tremendously improved his team since then. Saibon already beat me when I played him. Alberto I beat, but he, like Nick, his team just got so much better, and he got so much better. And so I think I don't have a good matchup round 2 if I win at all, pretty much guaranteed. So I think it would be kind of nice to build confidence against a tough opponent.
Yeah, and week 1 losses in a draft league, I would say I don't think this is disrespectful to Saline to say that I think your team is a lot harder to pilot than Saline's team. So it makes a lot of sense to me that I guess I wouldn't over-index into that week 1 loss, because I was thinking about that. I was like, is it really valuable to kind of push Saline into the Blizzard matchup, given that I just think your team's a little bit more, at least my perspective of it is it feels a little bit more difficult to pilot, so I don't put a lot of stock in that week 1 loss. But yeah, all the same, getting a win there. I mean, Saline's team's great. That's a great player. Beating Saline in the round 1, it would be a huge confidence builder. Sure. And I will say, if Saline somehow pulls off the upset, which is very possible, that team's an absolute menace to have to deal with second, third round of the playoffs. So do your job, Blizzard. Take this guy out.
Hopefully. But yeah, I think my team is pretty hard to pilot, being a tail room team, because any tail room team is just so hard to balance the trick room and tailwind aspects of it, and making sure that you play the speed control perfectly. It's really hard to do that, but one great example is the Houston Regionals, which just finished recently. The winner of that played Dylan Matthews. He played tailroom perfectly in that championship set, and so it's such a powerful archetype if you can use it well, which is why I'm kind of drawn to it. That being said, I don't know if I'm a great user of it, so we can see that I've faltered in the past. It's hard to use well, and so. But it does have a lot of upside, so I like kind of betting on myself in that sense, giving myself a lot of room to like do something or like play unpredictably instead of going for like, I don't know, like a hard rain team like some people with no skill, you know.
Hey, listen, I don't claim to have any skill. My self-awareness is off the charts. I'm very aware of what I'm doing.
But seriously, I actually wanted to take a moment to shout this out because this record 8-0 of plus 15 game differential, plus 34 mon differential, all of these are records. So 8-0 was a record achieved by me and Amladude last season, so you're tying that record, but game differential plus 15 is a new record. The previous record, Amla and I both had plus 13, but you beat that easily with plus 15. You dropped one game all season, which is crazy. And your mon differential was plus 34, shattering, I think Amladude's record was 30 plus 31. My record was significantly lower because I had 3 forfeit wins. So you, without any forfeit wins, went 8-0. So much more legitimate 8-0. You had the highest game differential and the highest kill differential of all time. So very, very impressive season. Huge props to you for getting that. And as a newcomer nonetheless, and you and Cybon both being newcomers and Alberto being a newcomer, I mean, Pilza being a newcomer, that means half of playoffs is newcomers, which is crazy. It's also a little scary for the future of the league because this was a really competitive and really close season. So.
Yeah. I mean, like Alberto said in the chat, like there's really nobody in this top 8 that I would say is like not dangerous. There's definitely no freebies. I mean, that's what made the decision of who to go into first kind of so difficult. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I just will say, like, you know, as it relates to like my record and how I showed up in the season, definitely want to give a lot of credit to the mentorship and all the mocks and prep work that Sibin helped me with, because I definitely still see myself as very much like a student of the game, still learning a lot. Like every week there's like multiple things that happen where I'm like, oh, I didn't what was it that happened in mine? Not power. Was it power split? I was like, I have no fucking idea what that is. So I'm very much still learning, but the prep and the mocks and the time that Sibin puts in with me to help get me ready each week, so I don't embarrass myself the way I embarrass myself on ladder and stuff, is super appreciated. Because I was actually thinking through it as I was prepping for the broadcast. I was like, what would my record be with like no Sibin mocks? Like if I was just like prepping and left to my own devices, and I kind of went through all my week matches, just like reflecting on the season and trying to like learn from my mistakes and everything. And I was like, yeah, I probably go like 2-6, optimistically speaking, without the prep mock. So just it speaks to like dude really knows the game well and has kind of taught me a lot. It sucks because every week starts with mocks where I just get my ass kicked, but clearly paid off. So.
Yeah, and it'll be fun if you end up playing each other, though. If you do end up playing each other, it will have to be in finals, right?
Yes, there's no way. Yeah, there is no way that it would happen earlier than that. So,
and that's same with me playing you as well, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, and I won't lie to you. I started prepping my Sibin lineup, I think like week 5 or week 6 of the season. I started just like piecing it together and thinking through it, because that's how long I'm gonna need if I have any chance to like not completely embarrass myself. So yeah, clicking muddy water for spare change. That's great.
Yeah, I saw. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I think this is gonna be really fun playoffs. I thought that season 1 was great. Season 2 was even more competitive and even tougher because we had 2 8-0 teams and that met in the finals. I think this season is like by far the hardest to win, right? Because every team is so evenly matched, every player is so evenly matched. So I think especially after round 1 playoffs, it'll just be like anyone's game. But even right now, it's still anyone's game. So
yeah.
With that being said, though, let's take a look real quick before we head out at the MVP race.
Yeah, got to end on this note, don't we?
Where we noticed a new face at the top of the leaderboard, Porygon 2, who beat out Arkelodon. Now, Arkelodon did have a higher differential, 3 deaths compared to Porygon's 7, but MVP is filtered only by kills, right? You can see that after the next thing after kills is deaths. That's the reason why Rhyperior is higher than Skeletor, King Gambit, or Sylveon. But still, it's pretty crazy to see Porygon beating out Arch, something I would not have expected. And something even crazier is the 3, the 4, and the 5 are all C-tier Pokemon. That's crazy. It means that all of these should probably be B-tier Pokemon, maybe Rhyperior or not, but Hydrapple and Hisuian Samurott should definitely be B-tier Pokemon in the future, and we're going to obviously make changes between seasons, but...
yeah, totally. And I think we were talking about this in DMs. I mean, I think Charcoal, as I understand, is like the amazing spreadsheet legend that puts this all together. And in our talking, when you were pointing some of this stuff out to me in DMs, I was like, dang, it would actually be really fascinating to be able to see the Pokemon's ranks, or not ranks, sorry, the tiers rather, from so you can kind of see it and like heat map it and color code it to like where are people punching above their weight, so to speak. But yeah, this is, I mean, props on the port. I had to make sure, as like, the double returning champion, I had to make sure you had something, had to throw you some kind of bone here. But no, honestly, the art. Honestly though, the Arch thing was really frustrating in the second half of the season because I could feel it slipping away from me, and I'm still pondering this. I don't know if I've just been exposed and people are getting better at playing into Arch, which I think is like definitely true. But the other thing is I could feel myself overthinking it. Like Arch felt like it was much simpler to pilot in the first half of the season, and in the second half I just was overthinking it. I was reserved. I was like not. I don't know. The mind game started to really mess with me. So even though the MVP race, like I didn't put too much weight on it, to be honest, but I am frustrated with myself for how I piloted. Like MVP race aside, I think the Arch slipping actually reflects me kind of like choking up a little bit with piloting this mon. So definitely something that I'm trying to like shake off a little bit going into playoffs.
And I think there are two things at play there. One of which is I had the advantage of playing Arch first. So I played Arch Season 1 and got MVP with it and won with it. Season 3, now, we've already seen what Arch can do for the most part. People are more familiar with it. It's still a great Pokemon. You still have a great team around it. But they know what Arch is generally going to do. They know how to stop it generally. Even if they can't stop it in practice, they know how to stop it in theory. It's not some unbeatable menace. I mean, it had 8 deaths Season 1. It has 3 deaths this season, which is still not a lot, but it has died, so it's not some unkillable Titan, right? As Charcoal pointed out, in the last 3 weeks of the season, Porygon had 16 kills. Arch had 3 kills, so Arch slowed down a lot in the last bit of the season. So I think that's definitely one of the kind of things to consider with Arch. Another thing is that Arch has just had so much attention on it because not only is it the 20-point mon on your team, right? So it's the mon that people look at first, but it also had the MVP Season 1, won the championship Season 1. It was the MVP for the vast majority of the season up until literally Week 8 this season. It had talks from people like Spam, who was part of running the league, right, talking about potentially banning it. So had a huge spotlight on it all season. So people really looking at it and your team and seeing your team go 8-0. I think it had a huge target on its back. So it's hard for it to shine in the same sense because people are so focused on stopping it. That can play to your advantage because I thought the first half of the season you did a pretty good job of managing it, like in the sense of like you didn't lead it sometimes when they were expecting it, or you did lead it when they weren't expecting it. But now people have kind of figured it out a little bit more. Doesn't mean you've become predictable by any means, but it means that Arch is a force that can be stopped, and so I think people are starting to realize that a bit more. Curious to see if it will go all the way again this season.
Time will tell. Time will tell. But yeah, and then otherwise, yeah, kind of. I'm also a little bummed that my Azumarill couldn't quite break the top 10. So just disappointing across the board for MVP racing me. And then funny enough, I know that we're trying to close this out here. The last thing I'll say, this was said earlier in the chat, but there was the whole like mind game in the draft when Politoed was taken away from me from table, like one pick before me.
Yeah.
And it is kind of a fun little thought experiment of how different things would have been had I got the Politoed, never had to switch to Pelipper, kept the Basculegion mail, etc. But anyways, just seeing this and seeing Politoed managing to make it into the top 20 reminded me of that. Really strong start for Politoed. I remember, I think like week 1, this thing was like number 2 or something in the MVP race, something crazy.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, the butterfly effect of that would be crazy because initially you were considering even going for a Galarian Weezing strategy, but you had already drafted Basculegion, planning on taking Politoed. So if you had gotten Politoed, you would have had Basculegion on your team. We wouldn't have had Pelipper, and Pelipper's been a huge part of your team, right? So without that, maybe your team wouldn't have looked as good. Maybe you wouldn't have felt the need to even make changes. Maybe you wouldn't have even gone 8-0. Like, I mean, there's so many ways that your team actually could have gotten worse. It's hard to imagine your team looking too much better than it is now because, I mean, you did have a record-breaking season, right? But I think I think it's interesting to think about how that played out.
Table really saved me for myself because I was down on Pelipper. I thought Pelipper was like way overvalued. I was not excited to have to switch to it. I was really down on that move. So yeah, table saving me a little bit for myself there.
Well, that's not something you tell Pelipper before you go into playoffs with it. But
yeah, fair enough. But now I'm a Pelipper believer. That guy has been putting in work for me. So yeah.
Oh, and I want to real quick shout out Porygon and Suing Samurai because I mean, 2 months top 4 in MVP is ridiculous, and that's not because of me. It's because of them and how good they were this season. Samurai, I tried in so many ways. I think I ran AV on it. I ran Covert Cloak on it. I ran Focus Energy Crit. I ran very bulky sets. I ran all sorts of Samurai sets. I tried the Fire and Water Pledge sets with it. I tried it in so many ways, and it was just still so good, no matter what way I tried it in. And if it wasn't good, it was because I positioned it poorly, but not because of any fault of its own. So really, really good Mon. And when I even tried out OU for randomly in this season, he was on my team, and he was great in that. So he's just been serving me so well all season. Porygon, obviously the MVP, so has been just so good for me. Very adaptable Mon. A Mon that before this season, I was like, okay, this thing has to not be Terra banned because it's so good with its Terra, and by losing its Terra, it like misses out on so much that it's not worth its value. But I put it at the maximum value without being Terra banned, and I think it still earned that value, which is crazy that it was able to do that so well. But I think yeah, these 2 months have been so good for me. I think Nick getting Rhyperior to number 5 on the leaderboard in 4 weeks is ridiculous. Alberto got Porygon at number 13 in 4 weeks as well. We see Alberto actually has another Mon up there as well with Caesar. Charcoal has 2 Mons up here. Pilza has a Mon up here. Table has 2 Mons up here. Saline has 2 Mons up here. Soup has 2 Mons up here. So like, there's a lot of people with multiple Mons up here, and that's pretty impressive to see, kind of from all ranges of the standings.
Yeah, that Rhyperior, that one was gonna slip under the radar for me. I can't believe I didn't even notice that coming into this. But dang, yeah, Nick is scary, man. I do not want to go against Nick. I do not want to deal with that Rhyperior. So very interesting.
All right. So with that being said, do you have any final thoughts?
Just want to give a shout out to you, Spam, Charcoal. I actually don't know the full picture of who works behind the scenes.
It's
on
mainly
ODL.
the 3 of us. Yeah, it's pretty much.
Yeah. So I just want to give a shout out to y'all because it's been a great league. This is like my return to competitive anything. I think like it's literally been a decade since I've done anything in competitive gaming. So Simon kind of dragged me back in, and you guys do an awesome job putting together a great league. I've absolutely loved the experience. So just want to give you guys your flowers because it's a lot of work. I think everybody knows this at this point, but it's kind of worth saying. It's not like, oh, we just kind of show up every week and we get to play. It's like hours getting being poured into it of like love and hard work to make the space for us. So yeah, just really appreciate the three of y'all and everything you do, and the fact that you remain so unbiased in it as well as participants is really cool. And then yeah, I want to give a shout. I know I already said this, so apologies for being a broken record, but I do want to give a shout out to Sibin because, like I said, he spent a lot of hours just like making me not ass at this game. And I was like, I mean, you probably remember when I was DMing you during the draft, and I was like, dude, if I get one win this season, I'll be so happy. Like I'm just trying to get one win. I just don't want to. Yeah. So definitely want to. I really appreciate all the time Sibin's put in to help me get to this point. And I was also nervous about doing a broadcast because I'm like, oh, God, like I'm still learning. How exposed am I going to get it? Like how clueless I am. So thanks for having me on for the broadcast as well. Super cool to kind of start to flex everything that I've learned and talk about a game that I really like.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really great to hear too, because that's the reason I do it. That's the reason I think Spam and Charcoal do it as well, just because we all love it so much. And personally, like that's my favorite part of like playing the league is just like kind of how friendly it is and like being able to help other people with their teams. I helped Pillslet and Charcoal pretty much throughout the entire season. Law throughout a large part of the season. Also, both of them helped me a lot as well too. It's not like I'm the only one, helping people out here. As you said, Saibon helps you a lot. But I helped Alberto with his transactions. When Dora Masuda and SMB were around, helped them a lot. I mean, like, helped Rick pick up his, Mons for his team when he subbed in. I think there were a lot of instances where I had the opportunity to help people out with their teams and with their strategies. And technically, I'm competitors with them. So technically, it would be best for me to try and screw them over, right? Just for my own sake. But that's not the kind of league this is, and I think that's it's a really special kind of thing about this league. I don't think my success has come from dragging others down at all. I don't think your success has come from that at all, certainly, right? So like the teams at the top or like the people at the top are still wanting to help the people lower than them. It's not like a intense competition, even though very, very entertaining, and all of the sets have been actually really interesting. We've had so many good sets throughout the season. It's still a friendly competition, first and foremost, and so that's why I think ODL is so special. And it's not something you would find in a league, and so that's something we had to create. But so special that we've been able to create this kind of community. So thank you everyone for either supporting it or participating it or just even like watching at all. I just really appreciate it so much.
Heck yeah.
And so with that being said, I know this was a very long stream. We will be doing a very it will be a slightly shorter stream technically because for playoffs, even though we will be doing the first 2 rounds, it'll probably be the same length as normal stream because it's less matches or the same amount of matches. But we will be doing the first 2 rounds of playoffs in one stream. And then we will be doing the finals as its own stream. So, thank you guys for supporting us throughout the season. Thanks to everyone who played. If you didn't play, but you want to play next season, we'll totally be rooting or hoping that you guys could join us. If you didn't make playoffs this season, hope you can make playoffs next season. If you make playoffs this season, good luck in playoffs, unless you're Juvie. But yeah, thank you guys for just watching and supporting, and we'll see you guys probably next week for 2 weeks from now, once the finals matchup is set for the playoffs stream. So hopefully that'll be with the knowledge of that I'll be in playoffs. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and see you guys.